Magic button is pressed. We're up.
There we go.
All right. So with me today on the Wonton Wednesday podcast is Gabe Guevara, a coworker of mine, Army veteran, and all-around very interesting person who was not born where he lives currently.
No, not at all.
So I will let him tell his story because this is insanely fucking interesting, at least to me. So do you want to start from the beginning, or do you just want to talk about DJing and whiskey?
We'll start from the beginning.
All right, let's go then.
Just dive right in there.
We'll get that at hour 72.
Yeah. You know, once Buffalo Trace kicks in, man, you know, it's a little better.
Nice.
No, man, born in Puerto Rico, in Ay Bonito, Puerto Rico.
What does that mean?
That is a small town in the middle of the island.
Oh, I thought you were saying like a catchphrase of Puerto Rico.
It just sounds good, man.
It really does.
You know? It just it sounds good. I think I heard Joe Coy say something about how he goes gay for some Puerto Rican dude that's like the doorman in his where he lives.
I could see it. I believe it.
Like he said, he's like, yeah, I just ask him something so he can talk.
Oh, he's got one of those voices. That's great.
Yeah, you know, like with the very the accent, you know, the Latino accent.
I got it.
Shit. I wish I did kind of like. I'm like, you know, I kind of lost.
You could fake it.
You know.
Yeah, it's not the same.
It's
not the same.
But yeah, so you know, Ay Bonito, Puerto Rico, in the mountains, man. Just grew up in the woods.
Nice.
Me and my brother grew up in the woods. I mean, you know, we were never inside, always out in the river, up the mountains, and playing in the woods. Shit, man, horses, cattle. Like, we had all that stuff around there, man. Like, you know, I grew up where, like, if you were hungry, you went outside and, like, you know, if you wanted like a orange, you just went and grabbed the orange. You know, if you wanted lemons, it was there. Like, all of that stuff was there. Like, everything was fresh. You know?
It sounds ideal and bucolic. Why would you want to leave?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It wasn't my plan.
I know it wasn't your choice.
You know, yeah, like, you know, my pops was a trip, man. You know, Pops was kind of like one of those, you know, those people that just can't really settle down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they just can't, like, just stay still. Like, just his family. So he kind of like, he grew up in Puerto Rico, but then he moved to actually Haverhill, Massachusetts, where my sister's at.
Yeah, and
then they like a lot of the family moved to Tampa. So we lived in Puerto Rico, but he had family, you know, in Tampa and like up here. So like, he was always just kind of like wanting to move around, and like, so we didn't have a lot of. The only stability that me and my brother had was Puerto Rico. But like when we would like move here, like we moved here. Put it this way, bro. Check this out. So we moved. I did kindergarten in Puerto Rico,
mm-hmm.
right? First and half of second grade in Miami.
Okay.
They couldn't even speak English, right?
I mean, in Miami, I think you could get away with that, though, right?
Yeah,
not really?
I mean, to a certain extent.
80s,
back then, it wasn't as much as now.
All right.
Like, you know, because the 80s, right? Like, so like that's when they, like, you know, I believe the 80s was when like a lot of the big push for Cubans coming in happened, you know? So it was still not quite like now. Now you definitely could get away with it. I mean, shit, you go to Miami and never speak English at all, you know? So we did that.
Which is part of the allure of Miami.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know?
I don't understand you. You don't understand me. I got $20. What do you got in your pocket?
Good. That's right. That's right. There's always a hustle going on in Miami. That's for sure.
I believe it.
Always. Matter of fact, never buy shit coming from Miami.
I probably wouldn't.
Cars, anything. It doesn't matter. If it's coming from Miami, there's some kind of trick to it. Don't buy it. It's not worth it. You lose your money. Ask my best friend about that. He could tell you.
Knew there was a reason I didn't like the Dolphins, other than they're just the mortal enemy of the Buffalo Bills. They can't be trusted. They were turquoise.
I can tell you, my best friend, he decided to buy this car from Miami. He was on this kick. He wanted to buy a 350Z.
Okay.
And I remember he wanted it a certain way, he wanted like kit it out and all that. And I remember he told me, and I'm like, so where's it from? He's like, oh, it's down in Miami. I was like, man, don't buy that. Like, don't buy that, man. It's you know it's gonna be something. Like, he didn't listen, man. He went ahead and set the whole thing up. Guy drives a car up to Tampa. He meets up with a guy, and I think he went by himself or whoever he went with definitely wasn't a good friend, because he ended up buying this car. He brings it to my house, and the first red flag was he goes, he comes in and the thing is kitted out, carbon fiber hood, all that, right?
Okay.
Looks great. But he stops. I'm like, oh man, cool, nice. I'm like, pop the hood. He's like, oh yeah, man, he's gotta unhook it from down here. I'm like, what do you mean? Literally, coat hangers.
Holding the hood down.
Holding the hood down.
What was the engine like?
Getting there.
Oh, Christ.
So, strike one, right? Coat hangers, right? Okay.
I mean, I would accept the coat hangers if it was like the post things through the carbon fiber hood, that style of like holding down the hood. Because I've seen those before in like the racing era ones.
And that's good, easy access,
Yeah, like I lost the clip. I used a coat hanger.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah, not so much on this one, brother.
Go on.
And he says, but you want to drive it? I'm like, yeah, let me take it out. So we go down the street, and I hit it, and I'm like, oh, sorry about that.
That was the noise of hitting the engine.
That's my wife, even though I told her that I was doing this. She'll hear this, so just so you know, babe.
He loves you.
I love you, but that was bad. So I drive it, and I'm like, yo, bro, like, this just doesn't feel like a 350. Like I drove a 350, and it's like sluggish, man. Like, it's not running right. And then I heard like a noise, like a rattle on the transmission. So
wonderful.
He takes it to the mechanic, throw out bearings bad on the transmission. Pretty much figured that out. That was obvious. Then we find out that the motor was not the original motor on the car.
Yeah, I could have seen that one coming as soon as you said it was sluggish. I'm like,
so
huh?
He got it fixed, and it cost him like another, I think like $3,000 or something like that. He had already paid I don't know, 15 or something for the car, something crazy, and he ended up having to dump money, and that car just never stopped. It just continued, just dumping money, and he finally got rid of it. Lost his ass, but.
So an expensive lesson to never buy a car from Miami.
Shit from Miami, man. Jesus.
I'm going to remember that, but I also don't visit Miami ever.
So back to the, pop.
Young life, Puerto Rico, second grade in America.
So second grade here, half of second grade, then went back to Puerto Rico. Then, fifth grade, moved to Tampa.
Okay.
That's actually when I met my best friend. It was in baseball when I moved to Tampa. So then the 5th grade and then 6th grade back to Puerto Rico.
Nice.
So it was like, so then 6th grade and then half of 7th grade in Puerto Rico. And then moved back to Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
And then I stayed there ever since. So basically really been in Tampa in that area since 7th grade.
All right.
You know, but you know, it kind of sucks. It's like when I got here, like I could understand English, but like, you know, or coming from where I'm coming from, like this, it's you know, a lot of slang and that kind of stuff, man.
Right.
So I remember somebody said, this kid, some kid got jumped.
Right.
I'm thinking jumped in the literal sense, so I'm like, it didn't make any sense to me. I'm like, what do you mean he got jumped? Like, I don't know. I didn't know what that was, you know. And so like, it was hard for me to understand what was going, even in class. Like, I really didn't know I don't know how I passed 7th grade, dude. Like, I have no idea.
I don't know how I graduated high school. I swear I was kicked out with a diploma.
Bro.
It's not that I'm dumb. It's that I was lazy. I didn't like homework. So I totally get it. I'm like, I think they just push people along. I really get that feeling.
Yeah, man. Because, you know, I think back in like math, I knew, because math is math, right? It doesn't matter. You don't have to speak the language. You speak the language of math, you're good. And honestly, the math that they put me in here in Tampa, like, it was horrible. Like, it was like I did that shit like back in like 4th grade, dude. Like,
and this was in Puerto Rico.
In
Puerto Rico, you did it in 4th grade. What you're doing in 7th grade?
In 7th grade.
So you're doing remedial math.
Exactly.
That's wild.
So I'm like, fuck is this or whatever, you know? So it was super easy, obviously, and you know, I did that. But like, you know, the other like culture shock thing too, though, it was the girls.
Okay.
In Puerto Rico, like back then, girls weren't really like forward like that. Like, girls really wouldn't come up and just be like, "Hey, like, I like you." Like, that didn't really happen. It was more of a courtship, you know, and like,
so more traditional, like,
yeah,
male take the lead.
Yeah, like, you know, more traditional,
makes sense in
and
Latin
just kind of
culture.
like, you know, the little flirting from afar, and they kind of feel each other out. Like, does she like me? You know, this and that. Like, but when I came here, it was crazy, man, because like I just got to school. I'm the new guy, don't really speak the language well, you know, and day one I'm getting like little notes. It's like, hey, do you like me?
I can't even read what this says.
First of all, who are you? Like, I don't, a lot of people here, like, you know, and I mean, it was overwhelming, dude. It was overwhelming because it was like a lot. And I'll never forget, man, because this part I will never forget because it was so crazy to me. Like, I'm at my locker, which I didn't really know how to open that well, because we don't do lockers in Puerto Rico. You just carry a backpack with all your shit,
Right?
You know. So I'm at the locker, and I always struggled. Like, I'm like, how do I open this? And it actually used to be frustrating, man. I'm like, you know, like trying to open it, and I had like probably like these five girls, and then they were all like representatives basically for their friend.
Okay, this is getting different now.
So like, they're like, hey, so.
But also, I was ugly growing up, so I didn't have anything wild like this happening to me.
So like, hey, and mind, you know, this is, you know, real urban, right? So it's kind of like, hey, you gonna go out with my girl or what? And then I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then the other one asking, like, no, how about my girl? You know, this and that. I didn't know what the hell was going on, dude. So I'm like,
So wait, so is this 5 girls for 5 different girls?
yes.
This wasn't like 5 girls representing one girl?
No, man.
Oh,
no.
this is
It
even
was,
better.
like, different. So I'm like, I didn't know what to do. Like, I had no idea what was going on. I really didn't quite understand the situation. Like, this is weird to me. I'm overwhelmed. And I just, like, I look over and I see this girl. I didn't really like her. Honestly, I think back and I'm like, I don't know that I even thought she was cute. I was like, I said, I like her. That's all of that could come out of my mouth. Like, I didn't know what else to say. And one of the girls was like, oh, that's my girl, Vanessa.
All right.
And she's like, she goes to talk to her. And I guess Vanessa liked me. So then Vanessa was my girlfriend.
Wow.
I don't know how that really happened. I didn't mean for it to happen that way. But
That's a great accident, though.
it happened, you know, and then she was okay. Like, she wasn't really like, I don't know. I was just glad that shit was over,
Yeah.
you know? And then I just kind of like, she had a girlfriend. And I had others, you know, like, it was so easy, you know, that like, it was just weird, dude. Like, it was like, I don't know, the culture shock, man. It's just so different.
That is different even than from where I grew up.
Like, it's just wild, man.
But I've
Like,
also never been a new kid in school. I was same town my entire life.
I was always a new kid, dude.
Yeah.
Because even like living in Tampa, like, you know, really didn't have that stability like that. Because like,
Moved around Tampa.
yeah, we moved around. Like, my parents always rented, like, and then my mom and pop said they actually split up when I was right at about seventh grade. So like, we just kind of rented and moved to different places. So like, we're always like in different schools, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got to know a lot of people,
Right.
different schools, but it sucked though, you know. That's one thing that I always said to myself, that like, whenever it was that I would settle down, have a family, I'm gonna give them that stability.
Yeah.
You know, because that's something that I just never had, and that you don't really realize how much that messes with you, you know, till like later on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just too much going on, right? Like you know, you already got enough going on as you're growing up and you become a teen and all of that, and like all that craziness, and then let alone with the girl stuff, you know, like, you know, that part for me was crazy, like growing up, you know, that was like a big distraction.
I think that's a distraction for about 99.9% of the male population. Maybe even 99.999.
Like,
just throwing that out there.
Yeah,
Most of
man.
us are going, all right. And even the ones who aren't so much into girls, they're into guys too. They're going, yep.
I just,
I'm sorry, I can't do math right now.
you know,
You want me to read what in this class? Read Catcher in the Rye to the class? No. Bad idea.
yeah, the girl stuff was just so easy, man. Like, I had girlfriends, right?
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't have. That was the wrong thing, you know. Like, I wasn't good to any of them. Like, I cheated on every single one. Like,
I don't think anyone was good in middle school or high school.
I shouldn't have, man. Like, there were some good girls.
Right.
They didn't deserve that, you know. Think back and I'm like, what a dick. Like, you know, I had one girl that she was like, we were like on and off for a long time. Like,
Okay.
like, you know, I think, man, like we probably got together like, shit, man. Like I think I was like a freshman, and we're kind of on and off, man. But like, dude, like, oh my God, I couldn't tell you how many chicks I cheated on her with. Like,
Well, then don't tell me that.
it's just like craziness, like a lot. And what was even crazier was that like her parents were strict.
Right.
So once I got my car, you know, I would like, you know, she had to like be home and like whatever by like 10 o'clock.
So wait, this was in high school, you said?
Yeah.
What was your first car?
Oh, my first car. So I had a 91 Celica.
Toyota? Nice, okay.
Yeah. But that was like short lived because we bought it, you know, obviously used.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess from the dealer, man, it had no oil.
Whoa.
And
Did you get it in Miami?
It could have come from there, man. But yeah, man, it had no oil, man. I was like, and I remember just the first time that I really drove it, took it out, and blew the motor.
Shit.
Yeah,
That sounds like my first car.
blew the motor, man. So that was short lived. So like I would say like my real first car was it was a 97 Civic. A 4-door Civic, a 4-door little Civic LX, you know, nothing crazy. Of course, you know, I'm Puerto Rican, so eventually I did get 17-inch wheels and
There's nothing wrong with that.
heated the springs.
Oh, well, at least you didn't do it the redneck white way and pull the springs off, chop them with a grinder, and fucking weld them.
Hey, listen, man, I mean, I'm not going to say it never happened. But you know, the Civic wasn't that. Like the Civic was heated them, lowered it, and yeah, that thing was bouncy as hell, man. It's you know, just crazy. You know, a little like intake and you know, just made it real Puerto Rican.
So there's a lot of chrome on it.
No.
It wasn't that
chrome,
Puerto Rican.
No chrome. No. I didn't do chrome.
So you made it actually usable then.
Yeah.
Instead of like trying to make it look nice.
Yeah. No, I've never been a big fan of chrome. Like
I'm the same way.
now I am like, well, for my Harley.
That's different though.
Yeah. So like for my Harley, I like the chrome, but only if it fits a scheme, right? Like if the bike looks right with chrome, then I like the chrome, you know. But there's some bikes that look like shit with chrome, you know.
I like the completely murdered out matte black look on a Harley.
Yeah.
Like that's the aesthetic. I'm like, if I get a hog, that's what I'm going for.
Oh, absolutely. Like I saw the most disgusting looking Harley, right? Because it was matte black, like you're talking about, and the guy just decided to just chrome everything out.
Why? Just why?
It looked horrible, man. It just doesn't look like it goes together, you know. Like it just looked horrible, man. The chrome that like the motor was chrome, everything put all chrome, everything got chrome lowers. I mean chrome wheels. It looked hideous, man. Like I'm all about.
Like I think it's the Night Train model that they came out with. That's pure black, and
Yeah.
I'm like, that's perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, man. I'm about. It's got to look right. Right, like
Oh, definitely.
it's just when you look at it, you know whether it looks right or not. Like,
Uh-huh.
and it can't just be you. It has to be like if somebody else looks at it, they look at it and they're like, "Man, that looks good," right? Like I don't know. It just works, right? Whether it's a car or a bike, whatever, it just works. You know. I don't like. I like things to look factory, but custom, but factory.
I know what you mean. Yes.
Right.
Where it's just like, yes, that's what they designed and what it's for, but it speaks a little bit to that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, man. So Civic, first car, and my girl at the time, she had to be home by 10, but I didn't. So I drop her off at 10, and I go
somewhere else.
Yeah. Potentially other dates, so
that does happen.
So
not to me though, because I didn't have my first car until I was in the military.
So yeah, man. I mean, I have fun, man. I have fun in high school. I played baseball. I was pretty damn good at it. Unfortunately, injuries took me out, man.
Mm-hmm.
But I was always just athletic, man. I played everything, man. Like, just the baseball thing. Like, I still say that's the only reason I graduated was thanks to baseball.
So you played baseball through high school?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So and that it's funny because I love playing baseball. To this day I can't watch baseball.
Same way.
Hate watching it.
I can't watch baseball, but I'll play it. Never played golf, but I find that boring too. I don't know anything about tennis, so I can't follow it. But I also feel the same way about that. I'm like, they're just grunting and diving. But then I've played it like twice with my ex-wife, and I'm just like, this is really tiring.
Oh, it's hard as shit, man.
And she's just like lobbing it at me, and I'm just like running around, and I'm just like, how are you doing this?
Yeah, like, I don't think I have the knees to play tennis right now.
I could totally see that because it's a lot of lateral movement.
Yeah, like I feel like one time and like I'm going to go one way and my knees are going to stay right there.
You'd be surprised how much of it is like hip turning too, where you're just like, ah!
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like everything.
I'm hurting just talking about it.
Yeah, let's not talk about that anymore.
Oh,
let's
God.
talk about sports I'm much better at, like baseball and hockey.
Yeah, baseball, man. Baseball, I was really good, man. Unfortunately, man, like just being stupid, man, took me out. Like I went. Well, the first time, my first really bad injury wasn't me being stupid. That was I yanked my my Achilles.
Like snapped it or tore it?
Tore it. Like
so not a full break?
No.
All right,
so
that's
like,
good.
Like I slid to third base, and like it was one of those bases that just like stick into the ground.
Yes.
And when I kind of hit the corner and my foot just kept going basically, and like just yanked it.
So you like overextended it?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. So that put me out that was my senior year. So like that put me out almost the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
And
is that a spring season in Florida, or is that
was like the regular season? So yeah, so spring.
Okay.
So that put me out almost the whole season. I came back, and we only had like a few games left. My second game back, we're playing against Robinson High School.
Those bastards.
And
I don't know, but fuck them.
That's actually where Hulk Hogan went there.
That bastard.
That brother.
That's better. Brother.
So I think I was like 2 for 2 at the time. And then my third at bat, I hit just a little roller to a shortstop.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I mean, not thinking about anything. I'm hauling ass like any other time, right? Like I'm gonna give it my all.
Booking it for first.
Right.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, my right leg, it was my left leg, just all of a sudden locked up, and I just felt it snap, like my hamstring.
Oh,
Just I locked up, and like I didn't even make it to first. Like I fell like right there. My leg was totally locked up, man, and like I just felt, I knew it was bad because like I felt the snap right, you know, in the hamstring, and I was like, shit. So that put me out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, that's going to take you out for a while. I don't care who you are.
I had one more shot, which was to get better by the Saladino tournament. Because at the Saladino tournament, it's at the at the University of Tampa, and that's where like a lot of scouts go to that. I mean, it's like it's a big deal.
Were you scouted prior to that?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was nice. But
so was that like? Well, no. Finish your story and then I'll ask.
So stupid, man. So like, my dad used to always tell me, like, you know, you need to stop playing basketball during baseball season.
Yeah.
You know, and I just never listened. I just like to play basketball. You know,
it's fun.
So, I went to play ball. It was like, I think it was like either like a few days before the tournament or something along those lines. It was we used to play in the back of this elementary school, right? The rims were only like 9.5 foot.
Nice.
You know, so you can do what you want there, you know. So like,
I still can't jump, so that's too high for me.
So one of my buddies, man, like we break away and like he tosses me an alley-oop.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't a good toss. And I try to go up and like kind of go up with my left. And dude, I got hung on that rim, man. Boom, just got hung. My feet kept going forward. So I fall, like I'm like going down, and I try to like turn around in midair, but obviously that's not working.
Superhero landing's not happening?
Yeah, superhero landing's not happening on that.
Not this time.
Like, I ended up landing on top of my arm, my right arm, my throwing arm. Thought I broke my arm because my whole arm went numb.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I'm like, shit, man. So, you know how, like, you just kind of don't want to see it. So, like, I was, like, slowly pulling it out. And fortunately, like, there was nothing broke on my arm, like my elbow or whatever. Mm-hmm. All I saw was just my middle finger, the bone was popped over, like the knuckle.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about with that.
So I popped it back in. And I was like, I got to go.
I'm done for the day.
So I'm leaving. And my car, that car was stick. And as I'm leaving, man, when I went to kick it into second gear, and I just like, my wrist, man, just, it felt like I got stabbed in the wrist. So I was like, what? I look at my wrist, and it like inflated, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I broke my wrist, you know. So that pretty much did it all, man. That was it for baseball.
So my question was going to be, when you were getting scouted, like, do you know you're getting scouted? Like, Are they courting you? Is this college? Like, what level?
Yeah,
like
minors.
Minors?
Yeah.
Minors?
Mm-hmm.
So you would have went from high school straight to minors.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Careful with that.
Let me not mess up your mic.
Yeah, it's fine. They're still pushing noise through it.
All right. So that's a party foul, bro. Like, that's Buffalo Trace too. That's good stuff. I shouldn't be spilling that.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, like, you know, like coach tells you, and like they come out to practice and all of that. They can't really talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but they send you stuff,
like hats and stuff.
Gloves, bats.
I wonder if it was something cool, like a muffler for a car or a nice lobster dinner.
I had it's got letters like, to go to all these showcases, like Pittsburgh Pirates and Blue Jays and Reds and all that. So you go out there and just kind of show what you got to the teams, So I did the blue chip athletes, did that. So yeah, man, I was pretty good.
That's pretty fucking outstanding.
But it is what it is, like it ended, right? And then I'm like, what do you do?
I'm gonna ask the obvious question: is this why you joined the Army?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, look, man, like there was no plan B for me.
I know.
It was plan A the whole time. It was just, making in baseball. And that was it. So like, I didn't have good grades.
Yep.
I didn't have good grades. They didn't even talk about college, man. Like it just wasn't a thing. So like when baseball didn't happen, it was like it was tough, man, cuz like I would say went through some type of depression, at the time.
Well, yeah, when you lose anything that's your entire life, that's going to happen.
Yeah, so like I was I didn't know what to do, man. I was just I got like my first job, and I was working at Best Buy car audio.
I love Best Buy car audio. They do it all. They install it.
I think the pizza's here, man.
I think they dropped it outside the door. Hold on, let me check it. They did.
There we go. Like I want to say the name of this pizza, but like I don't know if it's good yet, so like I don't want to.
We won't say anything until we know it's good, and if it's bad, we'll still say it. But we'll just say, if you're ever in Andover, Massachusetts, don't order from this place, or we'll say you should.
So, yeah, man, like I really was depressed, man. I didn't know what the hell to do, man. Like when you grow up and your whole life is basically like I'm gonna make it in baseball, and then it goes to, and then you're so close too, right? Like it's like you're right there.
You can almost touch it,
right?
Kind of like Icarus getting too close to the sun and then melting them wings.
That's the other thing, though, man, is that like not having someone to like kind of give you the whole story, right? Like to tell you like, hey, listen, like even if you get drafted, it doesn't mean, because you still got to go through like rookie ball, low A, high A, double A. Like it's a lot to make it in baseball.
There's a lot of steps up the ladder.
There's a ton of steps, man. And they like also the fact that like if they don't give you a big signing bonus, you're not gonna get all the opportunities, man. Like the guys that are gonna play, that are gonna get the playing time, are the guys that they invest money into, man. Otherwise, I mean, you really gotta hustle your ass off, man. Because like you can literally be better than a guy, but if they gave that guy $1 million signing bonus and they gave you like 5,000, he's gonna play.
So is that a matter of having like what's that called? Not a recruiter.
An agent?
That's the word.
No. Oh. So I guess to an extent, right? But like what happens is a lot of times, yes, you have to be a top prospect, right? But you also need to have like good grades and things like that, because that boosts your money. Because now you say, well, no, I'm not going to sign with you. I'm going to go to college.
I have options.
Right.
Got it.
But like, I can tell you, man, a guy that I played with that to this day I'll tell everybody, I'm like, that's the best baseball player that I've ever played with. And his name is Keith Godbolt, KG. He got drafted, but he got drafted pretty low with the Dodgers. And
okay,
bro, the guy was, geez, man, like cannon for an arm. I think I maybe saw him strike out twice, dude. I mean, the guy was insane, man. He had the power, the arm, was fast. I mean, this dude was all around an insane athlete, man. And he got drafted. It was low because he didn't have good grades. And he ended up, I think he played a few seasons. Then they cut him. I would have never thought that he would get cut out of any team ever.
Jesus.
And just everything, man. He had the size, everything. It was like 6'1", around there, 6'1", 6'2", and all the other accolades, dude. Like, I mean, the guy was an absolute phenom, man. And like, this is all stuff that like nobody really like tells you. Like, like I feel like somebody along the lines, like when you're an athlete, should explain how the business works. Right? Like,
yeah,
it's just I feel like it would be better for a lot of kids, not to have like.
I think it would be better if you knew not only that, but a lot of the BS you have to put up with.
Right.
Just to get to there, and then the BS that is there. It's just like, you sure you want this?
Yeah.
Like, this, you have to deal with this. Let's give you a small taste first.
I feel like in sports in general, like you get to a certain level where like you really got to make a decision, right? You have to make a determination on like, are you really gonna do this, or no? Are you doing this for fun, or are you really wanting to do this? Because especially for like, dude, this is expensive, So like as a parent, if you got kids that are doing it, right, like you're spending thousands.
Money on gear, money on travel leagues, money on the travel.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and now it's even
summer camps and programs.
All of that, man.
Yeah,
like,
everything.
Now it's even crazier, right? Because like the kids that are really doing it, like they are 24/7, man. They're training. They're serious.
Yeah.
So like, if you're not at that level, like if you don't want to do it all the time, like I don't know, man. I just feel like you should just call it a day, and just do it for fun,
Oh, definitely.
I don't know. I mean, then again, you have those freak athletes, like you get a LeBron James and stuff like that. Like, I mean, I would think that I'm sure he did work hard as shit, but like when you're 6'9",
he's my age. Literally, I remember my senior year of high school, somebody telling me LeBron James is going to get drafted straight out of high school and go to the NBA. I'm like, what are you talking about? I know nothing of basketball. And they're like, he's this kid in Cleveland, and he's going to go straight to the NBA. He's amazing, and this never happens. And I'm just like, no one's as good as Michael Jackson. Or not Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan. Michael Jackson is the best at basketball with his one strong hand.
According to Dave Chappelle, it was Prince.
I believe that one. Those are the most amazing skits ever. Charlie Murphy's True Hollywood Stories, best things that ever happened.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I watch them to this day. But man, so like now it's just and it sucks, man, because like I don't want to sound like you need to discourage somebody from like it's not
discouraging.
Discouraging, man. It's
Being
just like
completely honest and real.
It's just a reality, right? Like look, man, like you see that kid over there? Like that kid, he wakes up, he works out, he goes to school, gets home, does his homework, goes to work out, and then he goes to practice. And then on the weekend, he wakes up, he works out, he practices, he works out, then he goes works out again or goes to practice again, and then he works out, and then he goes to bed.
And he does all his homework the entire time too.
I mean, this is how it is. So like if you're not ready for that.
Also, his dad yells at him the whole time, and he has no girlfriend.
That's probably facts.
Yeah.
It's probably facts, man.
He's miserable and he hates it. And guess what? he only has a 20% chance of maybe making it to double A's.
You played hockey, right?
Not very well or very high level. So I just kind of played like bar league and dicked around.
Because, like, I feel like the girl situation, like, definitely, like, hindered my progress, right, in sports. Even though I was good,
right,
I could have been better.
I believe it, yeah.
Right? Because, like, especially at that age, man, shit, man, we got testosterone for days, right? Like, so, and you're in practice and you're thinking about whoever, right?
Oh, definitely.
In my case, I was thinking about, 3-4 different ones. So, like, your head's not 100% in it, and, or I'm thinking about just hanging out, right? So, like,
oh, yeah. Just lazily swinging the bat, going, swing my bat at her. I totally understand.
So yeah, man, I think sports now is way more difficult than it ever has been.
Yes, I think a lot of things are.
Yeah. I feel like kids now are like way smarter. If they're athletic, they're way more athletic. Like,
I think that's the other thing too with getting in is not just like in other things, like even like in the music business too, is like getting a social media following.
Yeah.
So like I don't know how that would equate to with sports, but like you follow like a small band and then they start blowing up on social media, like then the next thing you know they're like, you guys got signed? You got 4 songs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess the same thing. You get a buzz going, right?
Yep.
Like, so, like, you can take somebody that's, like, a good player, but, like, you're going to look fantastic on that highlight reel. Yeah,
but they're also going to be checking your social media going, what's this person like? What's he saying?
And we know many have fallen there.
Oh, yes.
But,
oh, you like to say what when you're drinking? By the way, you're 18?
Yeah. God, man. The whole thing about having someone to guide you, man, that's a big deal.
Oh, yeah. Having a great mentor or great friends around you is totally fucking
that's
key.
That's a big deal, man. Like,
have you heard the what is it? So yeah, you are the average of the 5 people you are around the most.
I haven't heard that, but that makes a lot of sense.
First time I heard that, I'm like, yeah. That
makes a lot of sense, man. The older I get, the less or the smaller my circle is, right?
Definitely. Especially with this job.
Yeah, for sure.
My circle went from like a good fucking 20 down to like I'm at a solid 3, might be 2. And that's back home. On the road, like I got you guys on site.
Dude, between baseball and like all the different schools that I went to and everything, like there was a time, man, that it didn't matter where I went in Tampa, I run into somebody I knew. Everywhere. And yeah, that's not the case anymore, bro. Like
oh dude, I live in a small town, so I'm talking I want to say it's somewhere between 5,000 and 7,000 people. Lived there my entire life, minus when I was in the Marine Corps. I go places and people will be like, how long have you lived here? I'm like, my entire life. I don't know you. I've lived here my entire life. I know your daughter. Really? Yeah. Like stuff like that happens to me all the time. I'm just like, all right, cool. It's great to move around with impunity.
Yeah, man.
I mean, a couple of the cops know me, but that's a different story.
There's another Steve.
Well, one of them is because it's the youth drug dare officer that was always at the school. He knew me. I was also the least wild of my family. And then when I grew up and I was playing bar league hockey after the Marine Corps, one of the people that I played with was the chief of police. And then another guy is friends with my sister. So that's how I know cops.
That's not bad. That's not bad. That's not bad at all.
Yes, but some of the older cops would have just heard my last name and been like, I'm keeping an eye on you. I'd have been like, oof. Dang it, I just wanted to move around with impunity and be a hooligan.
Yeah, man. Yeah, my circle is small. I will tell you this, man. Like, cause like my best friends they're my brothers, basically, man. Like,
right.
You know, and one of them lives in Georgia. The other one lives in close, not too far from me. But it's really, man. I mean, we're talking, dude. I mean, maybe a handful, man. Like, and that's it. And some of them I've met them thanks to my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have anything. You know, like my wife, she and obviously with her job, she networks and all that, so she meets people and all that. So like, you know, and then with the kids too, when they get involved in sports and all that. Like my daughter played volleyball, and like we got to meet some parents, and fortunately, like they've been really cool people. You know,
that's always a positive.
So that's always good, man. But like, yeah, dude, small circle, bro.
Definitely
small circle.
Small,
man.
but good circle.
Yes. See, we
have if you have a small but shitty circle,
we both have big families too.
Mm-hmm.
So that helps too, right? Like, especially with the kids, like, you know, they got a lot of cousins and, you know, all that. So like they're good, you know? And honestly, man, are you like an energy guy? Like, I don't like bad energy, right? Like around me.
Mm-hmm. Like you can feel it where you're just like, I can't jive with this person.
Vibe, bad energy. Like I don't like that, man. So like I like to keep my house drama free.
Definitely.
And just full of positive energy, man. And like so you just don't know with people, man. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do, right? Like, I mean, just keep the circle small, man. Just the people that you know that have those qualities that you like and that they have a good vibe and like that are positive, right? That are like, hey, man, good for you, right? Like people not, you know, I'm sure everybody has this, right? Like you get a job or you get a promotion or something and people they tell you to your face they're happy, but they're not really, right? They're like envious or like jealous or whatever, right?
I've been that person before where it's like, why'd you get promoted before me? Fuck you. But good job. You earned it.
I never have been. It's always, I've always been like genuinely happy for people. Always.
I will say though, it's usually my fault why I don't get promoted. Just so we're being totally honest. If I ever don't get promoted for something, whether it was military or civilian, it's just like, yeah, okay, I can understand the reasoning. I really am not the most professional, or I didn't do my professional reading or whatever I had to do to fucking qualify. It's like, yeah, I fucked that one up myself.
See, so once I didn't do once the baseball thing didn't work out for me, right? Like I went in, I got the job at Best Buy, which I did really well at that job. Like at the time, I don't know if it's still like this, but like you got rated by how many service plans you wrote or you sold.
Okay.
And man, we finished first in the company.
Like almost, nationwide?
Yeah, almost every night.
Sweet.
almost every night. And like
So wait, it was a daily rating, not like a weekly or monthly?
Every day. Every day they'll tell you where you finish. Whoever closed would see the numbers, and then like if whoever come in the morning, they would be like, "Hey man, this is where we stood." So we had it was me, and there was the supervisor, or no, he was the manager or supervisor, and then me and another guy. And we were just like a great team, man. And like, we pick each other up.
Nice.
One guy be like, you come in after the one guy and he'd be like, "Hey man, I didn't do that good, man, whatever." And like, don't worry about it, man. I'll pick it up for you.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just a great team, But then I started thinking, I'm like, I think I was only making like, I don't know what it was bad. Like, it was my pay was horrible.
This was in the 90s?
99 to 2000.
Okay.
Pay was sucked, right? So and I'm thinking, I'm like, man, I'm selling all these service plans. Like, I'm not getting shit for it. I'm not getting shit for it. So like, what? It's kind of stupid, right? Like, I'm doing all this and I'm not getting a promotion. I'm not getting anything out of it. So I started looking at other jobs, and I made my first mistake with jobs.
What was that?
I went to work at a call center.
Yeah, that sounds bad.
Yeah, man. I went to work for J.P. Morgan Chase in the retention department. It was horrible, man.
That sounds bad.
Outbound calls, basically cold calling people that like took their balance out and trying to get them to do a balance transfer back into the company. Except Chase at the time had horrible rates. So you'd be like, yeah, sir. So I understand that you took your balance out for 0% interest for 12 months. I can offer you a 4.9 fixed. It's like, it was stupid, man. Like, you were never gonna get that back, man.
Yep.
So it was like, I hated that, man. I hated that job, dude. And
yeah, that sounds horrid.
So that's when I was like, what do I like to do? Well, what I liked to do was I liked working on cars at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to go to mechanic school. And while I was in mechanic school, I started thinking, I'm like, well, I could do this in the Army and get paid.
So did the Army come up there? Like, did they have like pamphlets or something? Like, how did the Army worm into your head?
I just 9/11.
Okay.
So like, cause I already had started thinking about it, like about the Army, and then when 9/11 happened.
So you were in mechanic school for 9/11.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like and then when 9/11 happened, it was like, I'm definitely joining. Like, I was like, so that December, I went to MEPS, did everything, and I shipped out in March. So, so that, which I knew my recruiter. I knew him from church. At no point did he advise me to like do something different than mechanic. I could have picked pretty much any job in the Army.
Why didn't you pick helicopter mechanic then?
I don't know, man.
I'm just saying.
I was just like, I want to be a mechanic. Like he never, like nobody ever explained to me like what options I had.
They tried to explain to me, and I'm just like, what?
Yeah, man. Like I could have went Intel. I could have done a lot of different things, man. I had the scores to do whatever I wanted, and nobody told me, dude.
my grandpa was Navy in World War II, and when he found out my ASVAB score, he's like, "You're a fucking idiot going in the Marines." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "You should be going nuclear Navy. Do you know how much money you could make afterwards?" I'm just like, "Yeah, but then I'd have to be in the Navy." Because he's just like, "I got your whole life planned out for you. Here's what you do. You go nuclear Navy, then you go in the submarines." And I'm like, "Absolutely not."
That sounds
It's like you do
though.
6 years and you're in schoolhouses the entire time. You get out, you can work on nuclear things and make fuckloads. And I'm just like, one, that's a great way to play the system. Two, absolutely not.
There's nothing that makes me want to go to a sub.
The movie The Hunt for Red October actually made me think about it when I was like a teenager. Like when when I first time I saw The Hunt for Red October, I thought was an amazing movie.
It was.
Yeah, it was
It didn't
great.
make me want to be in a sub though. Make me not want to be in a sub.
I fucking saw that. I'm like, I want to fight the Russians on a sub. Hell yeah. I'm like, that would be great.
So, I mean, like, you know,
I want to be that guy that can listen on the sonar really good and has amazing ears.
Like,
I can tell what kind of sub that is. That's a Russian Typhoon class, but I've never heard anything like this.
I thought about a sub being more like the movie Down Periscope.
That was also a great one. Also, McHale's Navy. Wait, that was something else. I think they had a PT boat. But Down Periscope was a great one, too. We're going to use this diesel sub to defeat this nuclear sub.
Yeah, no, there was no movie that made me ever want to be in a sub, because every movie was like, you're gonna die, like you're gonna die. Now, you know, you watch Top Gun, yeah, that makes me want to be a pilot, you know, because at least there you got like,
you know what else that makes me want to do? Never be on an aircraft carrier, a floating city.
Oh yeah. I got.
Do you know that there's prostitution rings that get busted all the time on the big carriers, the CVNs?
Serious?
Dead serious.
That's interesting,
dude. Carriers are wild. Not the little gator freighters that the helicopters and tilt rotors go on. Those are they're not the big ones. But yeah, the amphibious assault ships, I don't know if that's a problem on there. I could ask a buddy of mine because he was on the Baton. He was stationed on that. I was on that for 2 weeks with him doing shipboard test and evaluations. But the big bastards that launch, actual fighter jets and stuff. So the CVNs, so those are the nuclear ones. Those ones are basically fucking floating cities. And there's prostitution rings on them.
Holy shit. That's worse than like Crips and Bloods being in Fort.
Oh, I'm sure there's Crips and Bloods on the fucking CVNs too.
In Fort Hood.
Yeah, these are floating Fort Hoods.
Jeez, oh my god, man, that's crazy, dude.
Mm-hmm.
That is crazy, man.
Like, there's briefs about this before you go on. Like, if you're gonna go on one of those, they give you briefs like, if you're confronted by a prostitution ring while we're underway, like, here's where you report it. Who in the fuck in their right mind is going to report it?
Now, you know,
especially a fucking Marine who's out there for 7 months and who's just like, I haven't seen anything but water.
I could,
and except for that port call in Malta.
All right, so I know what the Army standards are for women, right? Like, you know, a 2 is a 7.
So we're talking deployment and boat hots?
I'm just talking in general.
Okay.
A 2 is a 7. All right.
Now, is this on an Army base that also has an Air Force base on it? Because those are different standards. Because it's not fair. Because we all know the Air Force only lets in the hottest women.
Okay, but so I beg to differ, right? Because not about the Air Force with the hot women, because that's a fact. We all know that. It's in the Geneva Convention, right?
Yeah,
it's in there.
It's right there. So, it's part of what they wrote when they split the Air Force off the Army.
Yeah. Like this is what's going to happen. You know,
you have a quota.
Yeah.
That's their recruiting quota.
100%. 100%.
Okay.
But Fort Bragg has Pope Air Force Base in it. That didn't change the standard. A 2 was a 7, no matter what.
I feel like the Air Force puts their ugly women there because it's Fort Bragg.
And that's that. You're probably right. You're probably right.
If they were smart, they would.
So if a 2 is a 7 in the Army stateside,
she's an 11 under and overseas. That's called deployment hot. And in the Navy Marine Corps, it's called boat hot.
Got it.
So it's the same thing, different name. Kind of like a head is a latrine. I don't know what you guys call your hats, but it's a cover for us. Mm-hmm. Same thing, different words. Okay. We just have better uniforms in the Marines.
Got it. So it's an 11. And that's where I wanted to know the number, you know, because
it's similar, and if it's off by 1, it's off by 1 above or below. So we'll call it plus or minus 1.
I feel like when you're on a boat, when you're on a ship, that number gets skewed by quite a bit.
So imagine only seeing gray because the walls of everything are gray. The floors are painted in really thick non-skid, so if you fall on it, you're scraping through your pants and just getting shin and knee and everything. You're just like, I've never seen non-skid like this in my life.
Don't forget to mention that it smells like recirculated farts down there.
It depends on where you are. So I spent a lot of time in berthing, my shop, which was on the fantail, so the back of the boat, which was right underneath the back of the flight deck. And it was really cool because there was a door that went out to the back fantail where they had like ship watch, where they, you know, one guy would just be sitting there staring out into the ocean looking for something, trying to attack them. I'm like, that looks like a really boring job. I'm glad I don't have it. And like I could just like look over the edge and like see the little animals swimming along and following the ship, waiting for them to throw something overboard or jettison trash out so they could eat it. Which was turtles and dolphins. It was pretty cool to see. Yeah. And sometime I have to go up to the flight deck and fix an aircraft, which was not for me. Like, that's really far water down there. I would die.
And that's what you did. You did 4 years, right?
I did 5 years.
5 years.
Well,
okay.
I went in for one thing. I didn't get it, and it was a 5-year contract. Basically, I went in for Intel and I didn't get it because I have drugs in my teenage record. Because my mom found out I was smoking weed when I was a young kid, and she took me to Chautauqua County Drug and Alcohol Rehabilitation as a child, and so it's on my record. Well, it wasn't a child; it was a teenager. And so, so when I got recruited, they're like, "Do you have anything on your record?" I'm like, "No," and then like. During boot camp, when I'm getting my FBI investigation for my Intel job, they're like, do you have anything on your record? I'm like, maybe. And they're like, yeah, so this is definitely on your record. And you have 2 choices right now. You can get SEP'd out of the Marine Corps, or you can sign this open contract. And I'm like, graduation's in like 3 weeks. So
God,
boot camp graduation's in 3 weeks, or I could sit around this island for who knows how long waiting to get an admin SEP. I'm like, let me sign that paper. So I had an open contract, but I still had my 5-year contract. So since my ASVAB score was high in every area, they're like, he has a long enough one for aviation and he qualifies for aviation. So they're like, great. And they like gave me a number when I was in MCT, Marine Combat Training. And like, then there's an entire board of like what every number is for your MOS. Yeah. And it was V-22 Osprey. So it's 6156. It wasn't on there because it was that new.
Wow.
So I'm just like, it's there here. It should be in here. It's 615s and here's 615s. And the number was actually between fixed wing and rotary ring. Oh. And that should have given me a great clue because it's both. It's both fixed and rotary ring. I'm like, as soon as I figured that out, like years and months later, I'm like, Oh, that's amazing. But yeah, I had a 5-year contract, and that's my short story on how that happened.
Wow.
But everyone else that I was in with had a 5-year, except for one kid who was open contract, and he had a 4-year, and he got the same MOS as us. And it was just like, wait, you're getting out now? We have 5 years. He's like, no, I have a 4-year. I was open. I'm like, you lucky bastard. I got screwed by myself.
I saw a lot of kids, man, that they got screwed, man, because like possession under 20 grams.
Mm-hmm.
So, like when I was recruiting, man, I just saw a lot of kids. They want to like turn their life around or whatever, and like couldn't go in because they got caught like 5 times basically. Like I think it was like the 5th time was like the one that's like that whole law violation thing. It's where they couldn't get a waiver anymore. It's been a while, but AR 601-210 is your Bible when you're an Army recruiter.
Okay.
And it tells you everything. It tells you everything about what law violations can go and waivers, everything. But I saw a lot of kids, man, which I was like, that's so messed up, right? Like, so you got a cop pulls this kid over, right? High school kid. They find a pipe or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So typically that's going to have under 20 grams.
Oh, yeah.
In it.
Yeah.
So they would hit him with possession of paraphernalia and possession under 20 grams. Every time. So you get 3 times that you get pulled over or something, and like they get you with that, you're screwed.
Mm-hmm.
And like, what's the big deal? A little weed.
Yeah, they think that's the argument at the moment that states are having.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you took a whole option out of this kid's life because he had a little weed that he smoked himself. He wasn't selling anything.
Right.
So now, sorry, dude, military's gone for you. Can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I pulled you over for whatever reason, and I found a pipe with a little residue in it.
Yeah.
That's messed up, dude.
That is messed up.
That is absolutely messed up.
It's also a great way to lose quality candidates.
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean, I think that's probably one of the recruiting problems at the moment. So it's like, I live in a state where I can. Why would I want to?
Yeah.
Why would I want to stop doing something I enjoy?
Yeah.
It's like, you tell me this is the land of the free.
Dude, it's so stupid, right? Like, I'm drinking this Buffalo Trace.
Meanwhile, I mean, as soon as I hit the magic number of 21 in the military, I can get blind stinking drunk every fucking night.
Exactly. So I remember if you didn't buy your liquor prior to Friday,
okay,
good luck.
I had the blessing of being on a small base. Didn't have that problem.
We had that problem, man. Fort Bragg, if you didn't buy your liquor prior to Friday, good luck, man, because you weren't going to get it.
The C-store on Marine Corps Air Station New River was always very well stocked.
Wow.
And let me put it to you like this, like, I'm sure you know, like, close to the Canadian border, like even especially where I live, Labatt's and Molson Canadian are pretty big. And I could buy 6 packs of those down there.
Oh, shit.
I was like, fuck yeah, Labatt's, all right. Granted, it was only a 6-pack, but it's like, better than not having Labatt's.
Yeah. Nah, the Fort Bragg was. It's like, think about it. It's like, that's a problem.
That is a problem, especially when I think about like, our C store like was literal pallets of Miller Lite, Bud Light, Coors Light, Budweiser, like the big ones.
Yeah.
Literal pallets, like making up the aisleways.
Yeah.
Like you just drove that into the forklift. Great, cool.
Yeah, like
sweet.
If you went, it didn't matter if you went to like a shopette or because Fort Bragg's huge, right? So they had like two separate two class sixes, and they had like other like big shopettes like around the post. And dude, like by like Friday, when everybody got out of work, dude, like, I mean, if you went there, you were down to pop off. Like, that's about all you can buy.
What about military special?
What is that?
Military special was the bottom shelf plastic jugs.
That's a pop off.
Oh no, this was worse. This was
worse than pop off.
The brand was military special. That should tell you everything.
Oh shit, man!
I think it was like $7 or $8 for a handle.
No. Oh no!
The running joke on base was there's an NJP in every bottle.
I mean, that's fuel. Like you're military special. What you're describing, that's fuel. Like
you're safer drinking Everclear. Because at least it's going to give you some feedback of this is not a good idea.
Oh, it's just not safe. It's just not safe.
80 proof, so safe enough to fucking drink, but disgusting.
I mean, Barrack's life, right?
I remember,
Barrack's life. So many questionable things. So many.
Like building 3-story beer bongs? Yeah. You tell people about that and they're like, what? What was that like? It was like drinking from a fire hose. It wasn't pleasant. I puked instantly. 6 beers in like half a second? No.
It's just not, it's not physically possible.
I mean, it's physically possible. I saw one kid hold it down.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Never.
Joshua Cease did it.
I never saw that.
One kid out of the barracks.
Like, he should be making money, like, on, like, social media right now.
Or
dead.
No, he has a kid. He lives in Kansas City, and he works at his dad's metal tooling shop or something like that. And he loves and fixes up, like, muscle cars. I think he has a 66 Chevelle.
Muscle cars, working on metal.
Yeah.
Can drink 6 beers.
From a 3-story beer bong.
From a 3-story. Somehow, that shouldn't all be together.
You meet the wildest, craziest people, and you see the coolest things, and you don't forget it sometimes.
No, man. I mean, look, I try to explain. Like, I feel like unless you've been active duty, you don't understand what the barracks was like.
No,
right? Like you just don't.
That's why, like, that's the divide between reserves and active duty.
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, technically you have the title, but.
It's not the same.
You don't get it.
No.
You don't understand the fuck games, how much stupidity we have to deal with. You have to deal with some stupidity. Yeah. Not a lot.
Yeah. I did both. So, like, I hated the reserves.
Okay.
Hated it. Like, it was the worst thing ever for me. Like, I was like, this is so stupid. Like, the military bearing's just not there. The stupidity, like, of, like, you're there on the weekend, which usually it's like it just sucks, right? Because, like, it's never a good weekend. Like, you never have drill on a good weekend, like, where you're like, oh, you know what? Cool. I had shit. That didn't have shit to do. go to drill.
Okay.
So like, you know, it's never a good weekend. And what I remember, which is so bad that this is what I remember the most, right? Was here you are all day Saturday, you know, and not doing shit. Pretty much all day Sunday. Nothing. Nobody says anything, right? I'm a sergeant, right? So I'm in the meetings and everything, right? So I'm like, hey man, what's going on? You know what do we got? Nah, you know, just train your soldiers, whatever. Okay. So we do that as much as we can, and then here we go. At the end of the day on Sunday, try to go home, and you hear, hey guys, we have to empty out 2 Connexes.
Why?
2 days, man. 2 full days.
No one thought of this earlier.
No one thought of this.
That's the only military thing I've heard in that entire conversation, other than the sitting around. Sit around. We need this done now. Really? How long did you know about this?
Yeah. So, and even like when I got to the point that I would just like, I would bring it up in the NCO meetings. Say, hey, got any conics that need to be emptied out? What do we got? Like, tell me now. We got time. I got soldiers, and I know other NCOs that got soldiers. So, like, let's. What do we got? Nothing. But every single Sunday at the end of the day, they always figure something that needed to be emptied out or taken out or whatever, where it required literally a whole platoon. And it took an additional 2 hours.
Yeah, that's not a great way to maintain retention either.
No, not at all. Not at all, man. It's the reserve sucks, dude. Like it just.
Yeah, I've never had to deal with that, so I don't know.
It really sucks, man. Like you really can't compare, man. Active duty is just far superior.
Oh, I believe it.
In every way, you know, like the amount of money that you end up making for that weekend. When you think about how many hours you put in, you don't make shit, man. I mean, you're making garbage money for the weekend.
The only, like, because there's an air reserve base up by me in Niagara Falls, and I know a bunch of dudes that, you know, get out and then they'll go transfer into the Air Force reserves and get in there and do whatever. The only ones that like it are the dudes that can get in full time.
Yeah,
like
AGR.
Yeah. They can get so that they're working there Monday through Friday, and then their drill too.
Yeah, that AGR is the best gig in the military. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Period. There's no comparison. There's no comparison. AGR is the shit. I had it short-lived with me because
what does AGR stand for?
Active Guard Reserve.
Okay.
Short-lived for me because I got picked up for recruiting.
Ah.
You know, so I didn't really get to do like the AGR thing.
We got massively sidetracked. We were talking about you going in to the Army.
Yeah. So
yes,
I went in the Army because of 9/11, and I went
mechanic because it was the only option.
Mechanic. I can be a mechanic. Whatever.
Which makes sense.
I will say that at the time, my goal was really just to go to the Army, learn mechanics, which I already did it. I used to do it. I fixed my own cars. I fixed my friends' cars. So I did. My dad showed me how to work a little bit on cars, and then I picked it up from there. So I wanted to open up my own shop. So Then, once I started doing mechanic work, I like doing it in the Army.
Right.
I did realize I don't like dealing with customers.
That makes sense.
So, that's the point. You're not even drinking and you did that.
Yeah, I know. I forgot how to swallow my own spit, so it went down
I feel
the
like
pipe.
it's because you probably should get some. Because,
I'll get there in like 2 seconds.
It's a sin to not try that Buffalo Trace.
I believe it.
But yeah, man, like that was my thing, man. I really did. I wanted to open up a shop, man. So I got great experience. I mean, with the Army, I got, dude, like, I mean, that's like the best way to learn, man. When like,
so you doing like everything from like Humvees to 7 tons?
Yeah.
Nice.
Everything, man. Everything. I even got to work on track. I mean, dude, I got to work on everything. And not only that, but I also did record recovery.
Okay.
So like, even that, you get the phone call at like 3:00 in the morning and like, hey man, we're stuck, like, and you got to go out there and take them out,
And make fun of them the entire time.
Yeah. Somebody got stuck recently. I'm not going to say any names.
Like in the middle of the woods in a skid steer? Who would get a skid steer stuck?
I don't. How does that happen? I have no idea.
The mud was soft. Turned on it like 600 times.
But
cranked the throttle.
There's no other way.
By the time I realized I was stuck, I'm like, I don't even care. I'm just gonna dig in.
It was a cool Willie.
It was it looked like it was ready to take off like a rocket ship by the end.
Man. I mean, it was impressive,
Sent a picture of it to my brother, and he's like, nice.
I
think he talked shit. I don't remember.
4 buckets? 4 buckets to fill the hole?
A minimum, yeah.
But
2 chains, not the wrapper.
Yep, not that. No. I immediately felt like that was a bad idea.
Yep.
But yeah, man. It was a great experience, man. I don't regret anything, right? Because like it is what it is. I'm here where I'm at now because of everything that's happened, right? So I don't regret anything. It just sucks to think back to know that like there were other things that I could have done, right? And even though I did attempt to do IT.
You attempted, or you were told you were doing IT?
No. I attempted it. Like I literally I reclassed.
Yeah, but was it a choice, or did they say?
My choice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my choice. I hate IT.
I believe it. People that are good with mechanics are not usually computer oriented.
And you know what's crazy? Like I'm pretty good with computers. I just hate IT, man. Like that whole thing of like, man, yeah, you can make a lot of money. Think about it. Like in our job right now, SCADA.
Right.
Like if you know how to program SCADA, you can just write your ticket. Like, I mean, you can write what you want, right? Like, I mean, SCADA programmers are not easy to find.
Okay.
But I don't like the looking through and typing the code and all. It's just not me, man. I hated it. So I was briefly at JCSC, the Joint Communication Squadron Element in MacDill Air Force Base. Did not like that at all. I was at E5 and I got PFCs running circles around me.
Yeah, I could see that not being enjoyable.
So I was like, get me out of here, man. I gotta go. I was like, I just need to go back to be a motor sergeant or whatever, and I did. I just went back to that. I did a lot better with being able to, teach soldiers what to do and, different situations. And
right.
At the time I was a seasoned guy, so
And there's also a thing when you're the younger new guys, so PFC, I know that's two different ranks for you guys. That's E2 and E3. So for us, that's only E2. But as an E2 and an E3, you expect your sergeants to know the fucking job.
Absolutely.
If you get a guy who comes in reclass, it's you mean I have to teach him? How do I show respect to this motherfucker while I'm because the way you teach in the military is, hey, motherfucker, this is how it's done.
Absolutely.
This is how you do it. And this is because for us, it's the NAMP, Naval Aviation Maintenance Program, is written in blood. Literally, they tell you from day one, the NAMP is written in blood. We do things like this because people have died. And it's just all right, well, this is how we do it, and this is how the task is done. This is how you do it, motherfucker.
Yeah.
So how do you teach someone who outranks you, but no, dude, you're taking that thing off wrong. You start in this bolt, and then you go to that bolt.
Dude,
you can't.
JCSC is a rapid deployment unit, which you have to, which is another thing that I was like, I don't want to jump anymore. Why am I here? I told you guys I'm not jumping anymore.
Yeah, so let's go back to that, because I know you were airborne, but you weren't infantry. So you were in the motor pool,
yeah,
but you were airborne.
Yeah.
How the fuck does that work? This was at 82nd and Bragg?
In 18th Airborne Corps. So that's 18th Airborne Corps is headquarters. So 82nd is a division of the 18th Airborne Corps.
Okay.
Right. So, but in Bragg, in the Army, period, if you want to be airborne, you put in for it. Mm-hmm. And if you're in Fort Bragg, they're gonna give it to you. You're gonna be able to go to school.
You gotta hold the mic a little closer.
So in Fort Bragg, if you want to be airborne, they're gonna give you the school. You
because it's there.
It's there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you go to Fort Benning.
Oh fuck. Okay.
You go to Fort Benning, but it's Fort Bragg, dude. It's the home of the airborne. Life is a lot easier for you when you're not a dirty, nasty leg.
Well, it says right on the gate, "Welcome to Fort Bragg, where even the STDs are airborne."
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Vietnam, the Merc. That's
the jokes write themselves.
So, so it doesn't matter what MOS you are, because at the end of the day, right, you're a soldier first, right?
Yep.
You're just like you're a Marine, right? You're a Marine. It doesn't matter what the fuck your job is, right? You're a Marine.
Yeah.
So, and the Army's
we're there to fuck
way.
Shit up and eat crayons.
Absolutely.
And we're all out of crayons.
That's right. The Army's the same way. You're a soldier first, man. And so airborne, air assault, whatever. Air assault's what I wanted.
What's air assault?
Helicopters coming off the rope on a helicopter.
Fast roping.
Kind of.
Rappelling?
No,
spy rigging?
It's fast roping, basically, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I wanted to do. That's me. That's what I wanted to do was air assault. But if you're in Fort Campbell, Kentucky, you can get air assault all day. But that's also where they had the school.
Okay.
So 101st Airborne.
Yes.
That's, air assault. But Fort Bragg, not so much. So I didn't get that, but I only went airborne because we had a very persuasive first sergeant when I got to reception.
Define persuasive.
He made it sound so great, man.
So he was motivating.
He was so fucking motivated, man.
Is this your first sergeant that came out of SF?
No. This guy was just at reception, and he was every day, man. He was just upbeat and just going, and
those are the best ones.
He's like, hey, so what's going on? He's like, hey, you airborne? No, First Sergeant. He's like, that's the wrong answer, whore. Like, you're supposed to say you're airborne at heart, whore. Like, okay, all right, we're airborne at heart.
That's an odd way of putting it.
Yeah,
airborne at heart. That means I'm not.
You know, so, and like every day, which I think I was in reception for like a week, and every day, man, I was with this dude. Like we kind of hit it off. He was probably the smallest Samoan dude that I've ever met in my life.
That's a very odd thing to hear. The smallest Samoan.
Yeah.
It sounds like a bad Disney movie.
Yeah, like he was like I mean, he was like tall, but like super skinny, man, which is like not really Samoan like, you know?
Right.
But me and him, man, we were walking, and every time, man, First Sergeants hit us like every day about airborne. And one day I was like, I look at him and I'm like, hey, man, maybe we should do this airborne thing, man. He's like, I don't know, you think so? And I'm like, yeah, I mean,
sounds like First Sergeant was running a racket.
And I'm like, let's go talk to First Sergeant, you know? And we did, and then he kind of like settled in, and he said, listen, you know, your life will be a lot easier here in Fort Bragg if you're airborne. Trust me, you don't want to be a dirty, nasty leg. I'm 19 years old.
He's selling it beautifully. Just hearing you recount this, I'm like, I want to be airborne.
Right. So, you know, I'm 19 years old. And like, I think the other guy was like 18. Sold, bro. Let's go.
Obviously, you're the leader of the group because you're older, so you must know the life. Or know life. Like, he has life experience. He's 19.
Yeah, you know.
Of course we should go airborne.
So we go, and, you know, we go to Fort Benning, and that was just a lot of airborne shuffle and practicing your PLFs, your parachute landing falls.
I heard it's like 2 or 3 weeks that could be condensed into 4 days.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily. It was crazy though, because when you go, you know, now mine, you know, we're coming like out of basic training in AIT.
Yep.
So you're still like kind of in that training, like, oh my God, you know,
Sergeant, oh my God,
oh my God, like, you know, oh my God, that's an officer, you know, fucking,
yeah,
you know. So, but when you get there, man, you're like, airborne schools, like all kinds of people, like there's even like Navy, Air Force, Marines, like all different branches, different ranks. So like, it's like, oh shit, like.
Let me ask you a question. So the first time you saw a Navy person, what uniform were they wearing?
It was it
like the blue dungarees?
No, it was BDUs.
Okay.
Yeah, it was BDUs because like they had to wear BDUs there.
Okay, that makes sense. So when you were in like basic and AIT, did they tell you the thing? Anytime you see shiny, just salute.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right. So the first time I went to a Navy base, NAS Pensacola, Naval Air Station, Pensacola, Florida. So it's a training facility. Like they train pilots. That's on one side of the base. So on the side of the base that I was on, it's basically just all aviation mechanics schools. So like everything. So airframes, hydraulics, avionics, anything aircraft related. So expeditionary, runway, even like, so like those are the guys that go in and like build a runway. It's like all sorts of cool stuff. Like found out a lot about military aviation stuff. And then it's a Navy base, but it's a joint training base. So there's everyone there. Marines, Army, if they got something that is cross-trainable, there's Air Force people there. So, but it's mainly Army and Marines. Not Army, it's Navy and Marines. And so we split our training like with the Navy. And first time I was there, and like the Navy has all sorts of different uniforms, and their rank just looks foreign. It's upside down backwards. There's eagles on it.
Don't understand it.
Nope, you don't want to even try. Like I know a few things, and that's about where I'm going to leave it. But in their blue dungarees during the winter, the blue overcoat that they wear is shiny insignia.
Yes.
And so like it takes you a good 2 to 3 weeks to not salute fellow enlisted E3s. And literally the Navy laughs the entire time because they're just like, good morning. You're a fucking E3. Fuck you.
Oh, dude, listen, man. I didn't experience that until...
But then you get to watch new kids coming in from MCT going to, Pensacola. They're just walking around the base, and then they fucking salute another fucking enlisted person.
I didn't experience that until I got back to Fort Bragg. And going to the chow hall, and we see these Navy guys with the shiny stuff.
Yep.
And we salute like fucking idiots, man. And then, like, we didn't get salutes back. And we're like, we go through and like, man, those fucking officers are assholes.
Fuck the Navy.
This
is, I think I'm starting to see where the Army-Navy hate's coming from.
So then...
Those idiots saluted us. Those idiots didn't salute back.
So
Fuck them.
I had in the barracks, I had I want to say it was probably like a 500 megahertz computer.
That's top of the line.
Compact. It was a compact 500 megahertz computer.
This is getting good.
Hold
on, I need a sip.
I pulled up. I pulled it up on the search engine. I believe it was Google at the time. And I pulled up the Navy ranks, and I'm like, motherfucker.
They were enlisted.
Like, God. So I go tell all the guys, and don't
like, salute the Navy fuckers. They're enlisted.
So I could tell you this. So we fucked up once. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you do?
Yeah, this was like we got so used to just not saluting the Navy.
Oh. I see where this is going.
It was an admiral.
Officer insignia is still the same.
It was an admiral. That wasn't a good experience.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't a good experience. It was 5 of us. He waited for an Army NCO to come by. He stops him, and he says, tells him what happened. And he says, I got this, sir. That wasn't good, man.
I could see that. That's either going to go one or two ways. It takes you 5 feet away. Fuck that guy. Or it takes you 5 feet away and you're all fucked.
Yeah, we were all fucked.
I can see that.
Let's put it this way. I didn't want to eat anymore afterwards. I just wanted to go.
Took you to the tree line, made you see God?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, none of us ate lunch that day. Because, kind of hard to eat lunch after you puke.
Yeah. It's doable, but it's not enjoyable.
Yeah. So, you can't do that anymore.
Yes, I've heard this. I've heard this multiple times, and I'm like, huh, interesting. Why? Apparently it's mean.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why.
It can go too far, though.
It can, man. But, so did it not build character?
I actually...
Think about it.
Made me good at push-ups, but I was also pretty good at them before.
Like, adversity builds character.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And like, I feel like that kind of stuff, man. Like, I mean, you know, that situation, right? Honest mistake. I feel like
Right.
we're not in the fucking Navy. How do we know? It's not like the Army like takes a long time to teach you like ranks like for different branches, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, different uniform, don't know where to look. Like, I mean, you know, it's just different, right? So like, honest mistake, and we got the shit smoked out of us, man. Like, you know, but I think back at it and you know, laugh about it, and you know, shit. The next day, we were all laughing about it,
Right.
you know, and we learned, and at the same time, like, I mean, nobody bitched out, nobody like started crying or anything, nobody like, you know, we just did it and just powered through it, man. Like that doesn't happen anymore. Like nobody's powering through shit. Now it's like as soon as it gets difficult, I'm out. I'm done. Stop, freeze. I'm done. This sucks. I don't like it. You know, I don't know if they still have them, but at one point in the Army, they were doing stress cards.
I did hear that. I want to say it was after I got out. Like I heard about it. I'm like, that's a joke, right?
No, like legit.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, I mean, that's military, you know, let alone real life, you know? How much shit you have to struggle through growing up?
Very good amount, yeah.
You know I did.
More than some, less than others.
You know, like, fuck, man, like, I know what it's like to be worried as a kid, right? Like, man, are we good? Do we have a home?
Mm-hmm.
Even, right? Which is crazy because in Puerto Rico, this was never a problem.
Right.
In the States, it was a problem. You know?
Right.
We just didn't have money like that. You know? So like, or, you know, do we have anything to eat? You know? Fortunately, my mom could make anything taste good. You know?
That's a blessing.
So like, she just made it happen.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I think back and it's like, wow, man, my mom was like a superhero, man. Like, you know, how she did what she was able to do, you know,
mm-hmm.
without, especially like once my dad was out of the picture, she did it on her own, you know? So like, that's a big deal, you know? And like, I think now I'm like, man, like I just don't see like kids like really being able to deal with shit, man. You know?
Yeah. But at the same time, they're exactly what we talked about earlier. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster, they're smarter.
Yeah.
But they're less resilient.
A lot less resilient.
So isn't the correct answer to be to build the resiliency instead of forcing it?
You would think.
Mm-hmm.
You would think, but it feels like in society, if you try to build it, you're wrong. Now you can do it like if it's my kids, I can build it with my kids. Nobody can tell me what to do there, even though they try.
I think you should build it with your peer group. It's exactly what we were talking about earlier. Like, build up those around you. Like what you're saying with your Best Buy workers.
Right.
Like you built each other up instead of broke each other down.
Right.
So, and like also what I was saying, like you're the average of the 5 people you're around the most. So if you're around that, you can build your friends up while they build you up in that way also. Like you can build up each other's resiliency. So like, let's say, I know not everyone does this because we can look at the average body fat percentage of the American. And like, if you have workout buddies and you guys work out with each other and you just keep pushing each other and pushing each other, that's a form of resiliency you're building. Like, if you're pushing your friend groups to be smarter and get better grades, like, I can get a better test score than you on this next exam. Like, that's kind of building resiliency. Like, so you can do it. Or be like, we're going to go outside when it's snowing and who can stand outside the longest with their shirt off. Stupid shit like that.
Right.
Not like, I can drink more beers than you. That's not resiliency. That's just fun. But sometimes resiliency can be fun, but not in that case.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, I know with my group, right, with my circle, I know I do it, right, like, but I naturally do that anyways. Like I'm naturally, I want the people that I know and love to do well.
Yes.
I don't care if it's like whether they're better than me or not means nothing to me, right? Like, I mean, if it's not, then yeah, it does mean something because I want them to be better. Like, I want everybody to do well, right? So like I always, like I'm always like, I'm constantly like telling them like, hey man, like do this, like, you're doing good, or like, you know, pumping them up. To like, hey man, like, don't worry about it. Like, they'll call me up with a problem, and I'm like, and I'm constantly like that reinforcement of like, hey man, like, don't worry about it. We can get through it, man. There's ways, and you know, things like that. But how I can't make sure that they transfer that to their kids though.
Yeah, that's true. You can't guarantee that they're going to transfer that onto the next generation, but you can encourage them to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a fact. But I don't know what it is like with, if it's just because like, you know how you try to give your kids everything that you didn't have, but often you forget to give them what you did have.
Yes and no. Like, I want to give them better life than me. So, like, I don't have biological kids. Like, my ex-wife had kids, so I had stepkids. But they were essentially mine, even though they had a father that was in the picture. He's a great dude. He's a friend of mine. But, like, I want them to have stability, positive male role models. Like, I didn't have those things. And, like, I wanted them to, like, know what good foods were, how to make it, how to do stuff. Like, I wanted them to, like, explore on their own, but also be taught and slightly guided. So, like, they have their own interests, but I'd still take them to do things. Be like, hey, like, you guys want to go try rock climbing this weekend? And they did. And then, you know, being smart enough to go, like, they can only make it 20 minutes, but it cost me $25 for each of them. Like, their hands hurt. We're done.
Yeah.
Like, they can't climb anymore, even if, like, you sure you don't want to try? Yeah, my hands hurt. All right, let's go. Like, that's building one resiliency in them, teaching them something new, but you still have to be smart enough to go, well, there's the line. Let's go get something to eat.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like, I do that with my kids, right? Because this is something that I consciously just know that, like, I want them to have things that I didn't have, but I also want them to have what I did, you know, all the positive stuff. But I don't see it with others, right? Like I see where they're more focused on giving them what they didn't have, you know, and they forget. Often what they forget is discipline.
Discipline also needs an incentive, though. Discipline just to discipline, I think you're going to get the opposite of what you want.
So when I say discipline, it's not like
like, are you talking about disciplining your children, or are you talking about, like, you need self-discipline?
Just self-discipline.
All right, okay.
Right, because, like, you can ask my wife, man. Like I've never laid hands on my kids, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like I shouldn't have to.
Right.
You know, I'm not saying that it's like a bad thing. Obviously, like if you're like abusing your kids, yeah, you know. But you know, like my kids have discipline. Like when my kids go to somebody's house, they're well behaved. You know, when we go out places, they're well behaved. One of the best compliments that me and my wife get as parents is, your kids are great. Oh my God. Like they're so well behaved, you know? And it's not because like because I'm like the easiest dad. Like I give them everything, you know? But they do know the line, you know? Even though I've never laid hands on them, anything like that. But they know that, hey, like, we're good here. There's a line. They don't cross that line, you know? I see kids all the time, man, that like and I'm around a lot of kids, man.
Well, it's because those kids can test the waters and push the buttons way too hard.
Right.
And they've gotten away with it.
Exactly, man. It's like,
I know, I was one of those kids.
I'll
admit it.
You see that, like, you know, just too often, man. Like, and I don't know, man. I mean, maybe there's something to that where like those kids that test the waters, you know, like they get to be more creative or something. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know the answer, right? Like being a parent's hard. Like, you know, it's tough to like, cause I don't want to like make my kids be like too guarded or like too like, oh my God, don't do that. Like too scared to do things.
You also don't want to make them go, as soon as they get out of your house, go free and go wild.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's where the discipline comes in, you know, where they know that there's that line and they know that, you know, wait, that's not good. You know, that's bad.
Like knowing when the vibes are bad and they're like, I should go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And hey, I got a girl too. So like, you know, even
how many
more.
kids do you have?
I got 2.
Okay.
Yeah,
both girls?
No, a boy and a girl.
Okay.
Well, my daughter's the oldest. She's 12.
Mm-hmm.
And my son, he's going on, he'd be 10 this year.
Those are good ages.
Yeah. So, yeah, man.
As soon as your boy hits about 13, 14, you start going, why couldn't she be a girl?
Yeah, man. They're both, man. They're both just great kids, man. Like, they're so low maintenance. Like, you know, they're just so easy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, you know, I'm big on discipline, man. I always have been. So, like, they grew up that way.
Mm-hmm.
So they're easy kids to deal with. You know? I mean, and I have a good marriage.
That's also a very important part.
I have a great marriage.
So that's going to give them the standard for what they should seek and expect, but they just don't know it yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, that has a lot to do with it, man. Like,
the other thing I've heard is that the way you treat your daughter is how subconsciously she's going to expect to be treated.
Yeah.
By a man.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that obviously the kids look at everything. So the way that I am with my wife, and obviously the way that I treat her, you know, my daughter, and like that's setting her up for her future, right?
Yeah.
So like, you know, every married couple has, you know, little arguments and things like that, but we don't do that in front of the kids. ever.
Which is a good thing.
So all they see is that, I love my wife. Look at how I treat her. I treat her great, like open the door for her and, all of that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like tell her how beautiful she is, all of that good stuff, right? So like I've got, friends of mine when they it's another great compliment, right? They say that, that me and my wife, we're like the best couple.
Right.
And they're like, when they ask me for advice, I'm just like, yeah, so like you have kids, right? But like you two have to come first before the kids. If your marriage isn't right, if you just focus on the kids first, it ain't gonna work.
I believe it, yeah.
It's not gonna work. You gotta have date nights.
Definitely.
You have to like do those things that like just like before, like when you before the kids, right? Like you have to keep that going. If you don't keep that going, then that's not gonna be right. And then if that's not right, then kids aren't gonna be right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like it's simple. It's easy for me, right? Like I married someone that I truly, truly love, right?
Yep.
I also decided that, before getting married, I was like, if I, again, I come from a home where my dad split, right? So like, not that he wasn't around, but he left. So, I was like, I never want that to happen, right? So, in my mind, I'm like, I'm not gonna get married until I know for a fact that I don't want like that I'm not craving that attention from other women.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So
right.
I got all that out of my system. And then when I was with my wife, which like this is crazy.
I like crazy.
So
hit me.
My wife's mom, when she first got to Tampa, her first job was working for one of my aunts.
Okay.
So my aunt had a adult living facility, like a nursing home.
Yes.
And she worked for her.
Okay.
The house that her mom still lives in to this day, my aunt helped her find it.
Nice. That's your mother-in-law?
My mother-in-law.
Nice.
I didn't know who they were. Like, I didn't know her.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know anything, didn't know any of this, right? Like, this, didn't know.
Like, this is just totally crazy, kind of like in the stars, kind of weird
like,
woo-woo greatness.
So, like, my mother-in-law knew, like, basically my whole family.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
So, I saw my now wife in high school. So I was a young senior, right? So like I graduated at 17.
Okay.
And so at the time, so she was a freshman. And I remember like I saw her, like it was at lunchtime. And I saw her and she had this beautiful hair and I'm like, man, who is that? I had a girl at the time.
No.
So
not you.
So I saw her, and I'm like, dang, I'm like looking at her and I'm like, and I'm waiting for her to turn around because I'm like, man, I'm hoping that everything matches up. And then she turned around and I was like, wow, like she's gorgeous, like beautiful, man, you know, and like I'm like, wow, man, that's like I was just like wowed, right? And you know, no nothing, right? I'm in high school, bro, so like, you know, it is what it is, right? But I found out that she was good friends with like one of my best friends back then, with his sister. And so I kind of met up and got to talk to her, and like, you know, we flirted and all that, and but, you know, nothing, because she wasn't that type of girl, right? Like the other girls that I could like be like, hey, listen, like they knew I had a girl and they still went out with me, right?
Right.
So like, but she wasn't that type of girl. So you know, I wasn't like trying to like disrespect her or anything, because I really like, she was different. Like I could tell she was different, you know?
Smart move.
So
Sounds like it's worked out in your favor so far.
so, you know,
Possibly even hers too.
I'll never forget this, man, because like she kind of got me one time, man. I was with my girl at the time, and you know, we had like talked here and there, and like just kind of, you know, flirt from afar type thing, you know. And I was walking with my girl at the time, and I was going to our shared locker. Shared locker.
Okay.
Right.
I remember a few kids having those that I never had a high school girlfriend, so I didn't.
It's disgusting, man. Jeez.
It's only disgusting if you don't want it.
I would probably smack my kid if the one time I'll lay hands on him if he told me he had a shared locker with his girl.
What if it was your daughter? What if she said that?
Oh.
Like, I'm going to kill that boy. I live in Florida.
I'm going to kill his dad.
I know where the Everglades are. There's tigers there.
So
I've heard.
And other things.
Giant boas, at least.
So I'm walking with her, and like, and my now wife Vanessa, she says, I kind of like saw her, but like I was with my girl, so I didn't say anything. So we turn and we start walking towards the locker, and she goes like, "Oh, you're not gonna say hi?" Bro. Bro.
Yes.
She went off on me, dude.
The girlfriend.
My girl at the time.
I could see that.
She went off on me, dude. Like, who's that? Oh my God. And you know, since she's a beautiful girl, so you know, she was obviously intimidated, right? So like,
that's when you channel your spicy inner black lady, snap your fingers and goes, she's Vanessa.
Dude, so
that doesn't work, never.
So
Nobody try that.
So if like that wasn't enough, right? Get to the locker. She opens the locker, and a note falls out.
I wasn't expecting that. Yes.
And
yeah, you're
like,
done in this one.
And it's like a secret admirer thing, man. And like, she's like saying all this stuff, and I'm like,
oh, yes.
Bro, and I'm like, how's that my fault? So, you know,
because you look too good.
I was in a doghouse, dude. I was in a doghouse
yeah.
on that, man. Like, and I deserved it anyways, bro. Like, I was horrible. I was horrible to her, man.
The story has a happy ending to me, though.
She had no idea, but I was horrible to her, you know? Like,
I mean, it doesn't have a happy ending for her.
No, well, maybe it does. I don't know what she's doing now. You know, that girl,
she might have realized that, you know, baseball players aren't her type.
We're no good, you know, especially like in high school. Like, I'm good now, but yeah. Like, so anyway, so like, so I think I graduated, and like, you know, go figure. This sounds horrible, man. This sounds horrible because like, I dated her. I dated her for like a month, basically.
Okay.
I was graduated from high school and she was still in high school.
This is your wife.
My wife now.
Okay.
Yeah. Mind, we're only 2 years apart in age.
That's fine.
You know. But still, man, that's creepy, man. Like, you know, you're like graduated from high school. She's still in high school. You know.
That's a blurry line, right?
Yeah. So like, you know, I don't know anything, dude. So like, we dated for like, I think it was like a month, and like I'll pick her up and everything, and you know whatever, and like, and I really liked her, you know. But then she stopped calling me. Mine, I'm not used to this because I'm used to girls calling me. So I'm like, I'm not going to call you then. You know? I'm like.
Yep.
So, you know, my pride took over, right? So I'm like, I'm not going to call you. The hell out of here. Like, you know, you don't call me, I won't call you. So finally, like, and I remember this, man. It was like December of like, it was December 2000.
Okay.
She calls me, and I'm just like,
about time.
I'm like, hey, what's up? And she's like, all right, whatever. I'm like, and I was just pissed and whatever, and like, we ended it.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Mm-hmm. So whatever, you know. Then after that, and, you know, just do my thing. I don't know whatever she did and all that, and we're like, kind of went our separate ways, man. I never thought that I would ever run into her ever again. Ever. I went to the Army.
So then let's fucking fast forward. I want to know the end of this. So did you meet up with her after the Army?
So I was in, and this was I just got back from AIT.
Okay.
Right.
For everyone listening, that's advanced individual training. So that's a school after basic, right?
Yeah.
Got it.
So I just got back from AIT, and I was hanging out with my cousin, he's like my little brother. Mm-hmm. He starts telling me about that he's got a class with this girl, and he starts describing her to me, and I'm like, hey man, is her name Vanessa?
Yeah, how'd you know?
Exactly, except it was more like, are you serious, bro?
What the fuck? Can't I have anything nice?
So I'm like, man, like we went out for a little bit, and so I was like, you got her number? Do you have her number? He says, yeah. So he gives me her number. So I called her up, and she picked up the phone. You know,
She didn't know the number.
Back in them days, right? You know, so
back when the world was wild and you answered phone numbers from things you didn't know, and you're just like, "Hello."
So
you're not a serial killer. Great.
You know, she picked up, and you know, I kind of like, hey, what's up, whatever, and, you know, and we met up at, I think it was like her birthday or something, because like this was like around her birthday, September 11th. Go figure. And that's about
crazy.
that time. So like we met up at the movie theater, and dude, and like then it was like that was it. And like ever since then, man, it was like
no looking back, no regrets.
No looking back, man. No regrets.
Perfect.
Like it was like I knew then. I was like, nah, man, this is like I can't let her go. Like I knew it.
So did you get married while you were in the Army? Because how long were you in for?
So my first contract was only 2 years.
Okay.
So I briefly got out for like 3 months, basically.
Got out for 3 months, and that's when you went reserves?
So what happened was I did reserves while I was out, but then I got orders while I was in reserve so I can work full time.
Yes.
At the unit. Right?
Uh-huh.
So then I did orders for I did orders for a while, dude. And then I did AGR. I got picked up for AGR. So we got married in 2005, which was right before I went to recruiting.
Okay.
Right before. So it was December. We got officially married December 18th of 2005. That was like on paper.
Justice of the peace?
We did like a little thing.
Okay.
You know? And then the following year we did like a big wedding.
Got it. Nice.
Yeah.
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah. So we did it that way. So yeah, December 18th, 2005 was like the official. So I was recruiting.
Nice.
Officially recruiting.
And then you went back to active duty?
No.
Stayed reserve?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
At JCSC.
And that's in Florida.
Yeah. Yep.
And were you AGR on orders for that?
Yeah. AGR.
Okay.
AGR. And then when I was done with that, because I only had like a few months left, I wanted to stay recruiting. Honestly.
Really?
Yeah. Because at the time, I put
you were in a rhythm?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I put in the
that
work.
makes sense.
But I was like, my wife, we're from Jacksonville. Jacksonville sucks. Like
Jacksonville, Florida, not North Carolina, for everyone who's listening, because I know I have friends in North Carolina.
Florida. Jacksonville, Florida sucks so much that like we didn't even live there. We lived in Palm Coast. So
where is that?
I had to drive 50 miles.
Okay.
Just to get to my recruiting station.
Yeah.
But I hated Jacksonville, dude. Palm Coast is great. Palm Coast is like in between St. Augustine and Daytona.
Okay.
That's it. Great little town. As a matter of fact, next week, that's where I'll be. That's where I'm staying at in Bike Week.
Perfect.
But she was kind of homesick and stuff.
If you go by St. Augustine, tell the saint I said hello. We must be related. The name's the same.
But so yeah, I was like, I tried to just get into Tampa Battalion,
right?
And I didn't even ask for like Tampa Company. I was like, get me a paragraph and line number in Tampa Battalion, so that way I can at least be Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like telling me that I needed to extend first.
That's how they get you.
And I'm like, I'm not gonna extend. Like, you give me a paragraph and line number, and I'll do it. But if you don't get me a paragraph and line number, I'm not gonna extend, man. So I didn't extend in recruiting. Like I was, I converted to 79 Romeo, to like actual recruiter.
Okay.
So like when you convert to recruiter, they got you.
So is that like converting to Catholicism?
It's worse.
Oh shit. How long would a recruiter work? Like in the same area? Because I know
up to 5 years.
Okay, yeah, that sounds, maybe that's right. Because my oldest brother went in the Army around, must have been in 6th or 7th grade. So it was like 96 or 97. And I know he had one recruiter. My buddy Bobby, who's the one who was stationed in Hawaii, he had that same recruiter. And then I think my brother had the same recruiter, and he went in right after 9/11 also.
Yeah.
So both my brothers went Army. I went Marines. They loved that. Huge fans of me making that move. But yeah, all three of them had the same recruiter. And I'm just like, looking back on it, I'm just like, I didn't think it was weird at the time, but now I'm like, I know some dudes who like were Marine recruiters, and it's a 2-year stint.
Yeah, well, Marines is different. Marines, yeah, they constantly change, man. Like the 3 years that I was in Jacksonville, man, I saw quite a few different Marine recruiters, and I told you how that kind of went down.
Yeah,
too.
you did. But like even when I was in delayed entry program, so I had one recruiter, and so there's RS Buffalo, recruiting station Buffalo, then there's recruiting substation Jamestown, New York, and that's where they were technically quote unquote working out of. But then my town had like an outpost of the recruiting substation.
Okay, yeah.
So like, that took care of like the North County, because Jamestown was in the South County. It's fucking huge county.
Yeah.
And so I got recruited by one guy, and then he actually went to, so the recruiting substation Jamestown like dipped down into Warren, Pennsylvania area too, because like it's a fucking kind of no man's land, even though it's in Pennsylvania, it was still covered by New York. And then he went down there, which was where he was from, and we got a new guy I got along with pretty well, actually very well. And he was from like along the lake shore somewhere, but closer to Buffalo, and he took over for that outpost. So that's how that went. So I had like 2 recruiters, but I technically got recruited by one.
Yeah.
And I didn't know any of the dudes from Jamestown. I was just like, who are you people? Fucking freaks.
It's way different with Marines. And honestly, man,
to be a Marine recruiter, I feel like you just got to go, how are you at pull-ups, and do you like the movie Full Metal Jacket?
Dude, the Marines are actually, to me, they're the best recruiters.
I believe it.
Like, I modeled my recruiting style after Marines.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do the Army way at all. I couldn't stand the Army way.
Do you go to a schoolhouse for recruiting in the Army? Okay.
Yeah.
I know the Marines do too, but I just didn't know if you did.
It sucks. I mean, it's not good.
I believe it.
It's not good. Like, I mean, it's not, you don't really learn it. It's not enough time to learn how to be a recruiter. I think it was like, I forgot how many weeks it was. Maybe 7 tops. I mean, it
doesn't sound like enough.
It wasn't enough time. Like however long it was, I can't remember exactly, but it was definitely not enough time to really learn how to be a recruiter. The way they teach you, man, is like, we got bonuses and school and all this stuff, and I'm like, that's stupid. That's stupid. Now, mind, I already had a sales background.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and still am good at sales. So I'm like, this is not going to work, right? Because like, you're trying to get somebody to commit 100%, because not only do you have to get them to commit, they have to ship.
Yes.
Right? So you can get somebody to move their head north and south, right? And just to say yes.
Yes. That's easy to do.
But how do you maintain that commitment through the delayed entry program?
Yeah. Or
what's called future soldier program now, right? Like,
is that the same thing with a different name?
Same thing, different name, whatever. Yeah. Especially a senior in high school.
Okay.
If you sign them up at the beginning of the school year, you got to make sure that he's committed the whole time. Babysit. Or even better, we had a program. It was called the Chiz program. That's what we called it, which is currently in high school. How they get Chiz out of that, you tell me.
Yeah, I'm trying. Chiss. It's chiss.
So it currently
should be a Z, but I mean,
currently in high school is what it really is. What the name of it? So that's a
Kiss.
junior.
Kiz.
That's a junior in high school who goes to basic training in the summer.
I've heard of this.
Right.
Yes.
They go to basic training in the summer, come back, do their senior year, and then they go to AIT.
I want to say I knew a kid. Someone told me about this when I was in high school. I won't say his name, but I knew a guy who did that. I swear he was reserves. I thought he was fucking with me. I'm like, you did not spend your summer break in Army basic training. Like, you're fucking with me. Like, no way. They took your dumb ass, who probably didn't pass the ASVAB, and it's questionable whether you're going to graduate.
But yeah,
but he did. He was telling the truth, and he did graduate. And I was just like, okay,
yeah,
whoa,
yeah, it was a thing. So like, when I first started,
and he was reserves.
Yeah, well, we're not going to hold that against him.
I hold other things against that guy.
But when I first started, they put you with whoever the senior recruiter is, and you go out and see how they do it, and after the first classroom presentation that we did, I was like, I'm not doing it this way. It was just too much of a rah-rah, look at what we can give you, that kind of crap, come on, man. Like, you're not gonna be rich. You're not gonna become a millionaire in the military, and
you could be rich in camouflage.
Yeah, that's about it. Right. So I just never liked it, and I heard the Marines one time do a presentation, and I was like, and then I saw the reaction of the kids, and I was like, son of a bitch, that's pretty good. That's good. Dude, he just played on their ego.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Just played on their ego.
75% of the Marine Corps is just pure ego. The other 25% is the dress blues, and that's the ego too.
Dude, this guy basically went in there and told him, like, none of you guys can do this. Like, I'm wasting my time.
Yeah, that's a solid move that they have. The other one is when they're desperate at the end of the month is, dress blues will get you laid.
Yeah, man. I mean,
it's the best looking and most iconic uniform. Women love it, except around Marine Corps bases.
So yeah, man. So I saw that, man, and I was like, that's the way right there. That's the way to do it. Mm-hmm. So I went in every time, man, and I would just play on that ego, man, and just be like, listen, I'm telling you guys all this, but the fact is that most of you guys can't do this. So I'm just gonna be honest with you. Most of you guys can't do this. It's an honor to do this, and unfortunately, most of you guys are just not qualified. So it's only gonna be, I'm looking at the class, and I'm like, out of all of you here, maybe one of you can actually get this done, can actually go through with it. So it's great opportunities, but, unfortunately, it's not for many. And I would just go from there and just be like, and I forget my lines, but like I used to make them do something like physical. And when I started doing my presentations that way, I started getting like crazy amount of responses and like, oh, I want to talk to you, Sergeant G. I want to talk to Sergeant G. And then all of a sudden the whole school was like wanting to talk to Sergeant G. I used to ride my bike over there,
Like your Harley or
No,
like a pedal bike?
Had a crotch rocket.
Okay.
Yeah, had a ZX6, Kawasaki ZX6.
So just showing off.
Yeah, it's right.
Like, well, you want to join the army?
Right?
You gotta
be cool, right?
You gotta be cool. You gotta be physical. You gotta look good in a uniform. Do you think you can handle that, tough guy?
I parked my bike up in the front and then I would hear him I'd be in the office and hey, Sergeant G's here. Sergeant G's here.
Nice.
So I did a good job.
That's a solid move. I totally dig all of that. I had a buddy, I think he's still in. He's got to be coming up on his 20 now. He picked up E5 before anyone else in our peer group because our class went through both schoolhouses together through A and C school. So A school in Pensacola, C school at New River. That's the finishing school for the Osprey for working on that. So and then we went to the unit because there's only one unit of Ospreys that you could go to at that time. And he got picked so he re-enlisted and then got picked for recruiting back in his home state. And they put him in central Pennsylvania instead of over by Pittsburgh, where he's from. So me and another buddy went and visited him once while he was recruiting. And he's like, yeah, I just have fun with it. Like what? And one of the things is I have tactical Tuesdays, so I just dress in a ghillie suit just because I can. I'm like, that's outstanding. I'm like, how do you recruit people? He was like, I don't lie. I'm brutally honest about how much they suck, and it sucks, and nobody believes me.
Exactly.
I'm like, well, one, that's wild, but also it's because I've lived it, so I know how much it sucks. And thinking back, I'm like, I don't think that would have worked on me either. I'd be like, fuck yeah, I'm joining the Marines. You cannot stop me.
No one that I put in the Army could say that I lied to him. And I wear that.
I can honestly say that the lying that happened in the recruiting office was me to the recruiter.
Look, I wear it with pride, man, because the whole time in 3 years that I recruited, I had one person that didn't ship. And the only reason he didn't ship was because he went ghost, man. He was a troubled kid, man. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't get a hold of him, and he needed to go take his GED test.
Yeah.
And he never went. Then he was crying and oh my God, can I? And at that point I was like, I'm done with you, dude. If I can't reach you, I can't work with you.
Yep.
So yeah, man. In 3 years,
if you can't do the first step, how do you think you're gonna do once you get to I don't know what you guys call it. We call it the fleet.
Yeah.
Once there's people not holding your hand as much, what do you think's gonna happen? Doing you a favor.
In 3 years, one dep loss. That's unheard of, man. That's stupid numbers. That's
pretty fucking solid.
I did very well.
I don't know how many people you put in total or how many but that's got to equal above 99%.
Oh, dude, it was I put in 60 something, I believe it was.
Okay, so it's 61. Yeah, it's still in the high 90 percentages. That's fucking awesome.
So yeah, man,
I think anyone who says they can do their job above 90% is doing fucking awesome.
I would say so.
Yeah.
But so I enjoyed it, man. It sucked, man. We worked 14-hour days, dude.
I believe it because I've seen my recruiters do it.
I would leave the house. My wife was sleeping. I got home. My wife was sleeping. It was that crazy, man.
I believe it.
I'll never forget, man. I had back-to-back days where I had to get up at 3 a.m, go pick up these kids in Stark, Florida, take them to go in process. One of them, for whatever reason, couldn't make it all the way through, so I had to do it again. I got home at midnight that day. So up at 3 a.m, got home at midnight to be up at 3 a.m. again. Got home at midnight.
That's a long day.
2 days in a row.
Woo!
Yeah. But the longer you do it, the better you get at it and the less you work. You know, so that's I wanted to stay in it, you know, but it didn't happen. But you know, so did all that afterwards, and then with the reserve thing, like, well, the JCSE thing just sucked, and you know, I was just like, all right, man, and I was all hurt too at the time. Like I had already had my injuries, like I got surgery on both of my legs and all of that. So
is that why you skip leg day?
Part of why I skip leg day.
I'll accept that. Fine.
You know, so I, you know, surgery on both of my legs.
The squat is bench press of the legs.
My back's all jacked up, man. I got 2 ruptured discs on my freaking neck. I mean, dude, I got a laundry list, man. So like, I was like, all right, man, I need to just be out, you know, and just do the civilian thing, and you know.
So none of those things were service related?
Everything was service related.
Is it documented?
Yeah.
Good.
I got a pension.
Not good.
So, you know.
So not a med sep, but kind of?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, they kind of played me on it, you know. Because my contract was up, they basically made it to where, like, I couldn't re-enlist. They put a bar to re-enlist because of the medical.
Right.
So that now you can't re-enlist. So now we don't have to go through a board so that they can medically separate me and retire me. Like,
that's a dirty move.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's why I didn't get a medical retirement. Like I should have.
Yeah, that's understandable.
So, but it is what it is, dude. You know, look, I started in wastewater, right? Like, didn't know what it was. I just kind of wanted to get a job with like the city or the county.
Yep.
Because it just felt like, you know, okay, well, I don't know what else to do, so let me get a job with the city or the county. You know, it's good benefits and all that, right?
Yeah.
So I got a job with Hillsborough County as a operator trainee for wastewater.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea what that job was.
Other than it sounds shitty.
Like, and yeah, at the time, I didn't give a fuck. Like, I was like, I'll take whatever. So, like, I'll never forget. We were thinking about moving to Puerto Rico, me and my wife. And I actually went to Puerto Rico to look for a job. And while I was in Puerto Rico, I get a call from Hillsborough County. And that's because I did one interview for the wastewater plant, but I didn't get a call back. So I was like, man, you know, I got to do
obviously
something.
The next move is Puerto Rico.
So I was like, you know, we were just thinking about it. Yeah, fine, let's go. You know, let's go to Puerto Rico. And like, so I went over there first and like, you know, was looking for a job, and I get a call and they're like, hey, want you to come back for another interview.
Mm-hmm.
Got on a plane and like, cause I think it was like, I need you here on Monday. And it was like
Friday,
like
noon.
Sunday or something.
Oh shit.
Or like Saturday or something like that, dude. And like, I actually missed my interview because my plane got canceled. My flight got canceled.
Fuck.
So, but it was cool, so I was able to do it the next day. And I got the job. And so I started in wastewater, and I was thinking it was going to be crazy, right? Because, like, the guy, Luke Armstrong, I'll never forget, because he called me up and he said, hey, you applied for a job in wastewater. You still interested? I'm like, I didn't know I did. I didn't know that I did.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested.
I said, yeah, absolutely. He's like, so look, man, you're going to be shoveling shit. You're going to be going up and down stairs all day. It's 7 days a week, 365. Night and day. You still interested? Like, yeah. He's like, see you on whatever day at whatever time. And I'm like,
that's a hell of an interview.
Yeah. So like,
this sucks. Do you want it? Yes.
So the second time, I got the job, and then when I got to start doing the job, I was like, I'm waiting to be shoveling shit and doing all this craziness. It never happened.
That's good.
Then time goes by, and I'm like, is this it? Like, this is the job? And like, so I went and like our senior operator at the time, I said, hey, I gotta ask you something, man. This might sound dumb, man, but I'm sorry. What we've done so far, is this the job? Like, or do we do anything else? He's like, looks at me all weird, and like, I was told we were gonna be shoveling shit, man. Like, so like, he's like, yeah, man, you're an operator, and I'm like, listen, man, I don't know what that means. So he's like, look, man, this is all we do is that we sample and we run the process, and that's it. If something goes wrong, a pump goes out or whatever, you call a mechanic. If you got an electrical problem, you call an electrician.
Yeah.
Now mind, we did have to derag pumps and stuff like that, because like you're working on a weekend or whatever, you can't wait on somebody to get there, so you do what you got to do. But for the most part, man, it was the easiest damn job I ever had in my life.
That's fantastic.
So I'm like, man, I like this. So then, I went and I got my wastewater license, my C license. And then, okay, kept that going. And Hillsborough County didn't pay well. So things got kind of shitty over there. And like, the reason I stayed at Hillsborough County was because it was like a good environment. And really that was it. It was a good environment, and I liked my shift. So I stayed there, but then that changed. Management changed.
Yeah.
So that got me to start looking elsewhere. So I landed a job with the city of Tampa. A lot better pay.
Excuse me.
I actually took the job at the city as a trainee, which
after being an operator.
After I was an operator, I took the job as a trainee. I just figured, like, I don't care, I'll move up.
Right.
Not knowing what the system was like over there. Right? I just took it.
A risky maneuver, but one you figured would pay off.
Right. I will say I'm very fortunate that it did pay off. Their system isn't that great. But I got there as a trainee. 3 months later, I went from a trainee to a tech 2.
Is that skipping a step?
Yeah.
That's good.
Big jump. So, and
they figured they're like, he's got experience.
And the way I did it, well, not only that, I had a license.
Nice.
Most people at the city of Tampa didn't have a license at all.
Okay.
Most of the people that had a license were the supervisors, and they had A licenses. So it was like the supervisors with an A license, and then a bunch of people with no license at all. Because of the way the permit works is that with the city, you always had to have an A license operator on site so they can get away with not everyone having a license.
Okay.
Where the city of, Hillsborough County, you needed to have a licensed operator at all times. Not an A license, just a licensed operator. Right? Mm-hmm. So I'm at the city, I'm there, and I go 3 months trainee to Tech 2. At no point did I realize how crazy that was for me to be able to accomplish that. I didn't know. But did it.
Pissed a few people off.
Yeah, a few.
I could see that.
But the people that I pissed off didn't matter. They weren't. They didn't affect my moving up, right?
Okay.
It was just other employees. So, whatever.
Which brings up a good point. If you're not an asset, what are you?
Exactly. Yeah, good point. So I'm there, and I was there for like a few years, and like I decided that I didn't want to do it anymore. Mm-hmm. So I went to sell roofs.
Yes. Which are always needed in Hurricane Alley.
Yeah. So I did it.
It's not like selling fridges to the Eskimos. This is necessary stuff.
Yeah.
Everyone needs a roof. Especially when fucking Hurricane Ivan comes and tears your house down. Well, the first thing you're going to need is a roof.
I went and did that, and did well. Things happened with the company. Like I was making good money, and then all of a sudden, like they decided to like mess with the commission structure, and
this was in the roofing sales.
Yeah, and I got screwed.
Yeah, I could see that.
So I wasn't too happy, obviously, and I reached out to the people that I knew at the city, and I said, hey, I'd like to come back. Actually, I reached out to my old supervisor. And I told her, like, hey, look, if you guys got a spot, I'd like to come back. And she told, the boss at the time, and they made it happen quick.
Nice.
So then I was back back to the city. And now, what I knew also was that my supervisor was getting ready to retire. Mm-hmm. So that was going to open up a spot. So
you needed an A license.
I needed an A license to even apply.
Which makes sense given their restrictions and regulations.
So I didn't have much time. So I went, scheduled my B. The B test is the hardest one by far. Mm-hmm. Barely passed it, but I passed it.
B's get degrees.
So, like, I think you needed a 70. I got a 73.
Perfect.
So, got my B. As soon as I got my B, I scheduled my A. Mm-hmm. Went through, and what sucked is that at that time, the whole state of Florida had they changed the contract that they had. Like, so before you were able to, once you took your test, you knew your score right away.
Yes.
Well, that wasn't the case anymore because they had some issue with the contract and whatever. So you had to go so you had to wait to get your score. So once I passed, I took my A, I had to wait to get my score, so I didn't know what happened. My A, I felt very confident that
Yes.
I passed it. Like, I knew I passed that one. But I was waiting, and, like, I got my score right on time. Like, when I say right on time, I mean, like, the job posting was going to close, like, in, like, a day. And I got it. I put in, and I did what I had to do, man, and I got the supervisor job.
Nice.
You know, so it worked out, and honestly, I love the wastewater field.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, man, that shift work.
So like night shift.
Oh my God, man! Like, I mean,
Yeah.
rotating every 6 weeks.
Okay.
One of the shifts was the weekend midnight shift, right? You would work. You go in Friday night at 11 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Get out Saturday morning at 11 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Go back in Saturday night
11.
at 11.
Sunday.
Get out Sunday at 11 a.m. Then you go back to work on Monday at 7 a.m.
Yeah, that's
So you work Monday and Tuesday 7 to 3, 7 a.m. to 3. Dude,
that's all sorts of fucked up sleep.
listen, man, the job was literally killing me.
Mm-hmm.
Physically, I was in the worst conditions that I ever been, man. Like, I was horrible. Like, just, I couldn't find any motivation to work out. I was eating like crap. Like, I had constant bags under my eyes, man. I mean, it was bad, dude.
So, I don't know if we should say the name of the company we work for, because marketing hasn't told me if I should yet.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not.
One of the guys from marketing is like, if you do anything with people from the company, can we link to it? I'm like, as long as you don't mind that we say fuck a lot. It's like, I'll think about it. And I'm like, okay, I'll tell you who that is later offline. And he may or may not, and you may not see links to it if you follow any of the company accounts. But how did you fall into this line of work? Because how I did is hilarious.
It was like pure like accident, really, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't really like I was at the roofing company because I got out of wastewater again. Which I'll tell you, it sucks, man, because it's not easy to get that A license, man.
Uh-huh.
Like, and not a lot of people have it. Like, I can get a job in wastewater at any time with my
Now, is
license.
that only for the state of Florida, or is it nationwide?
No, it's not nationwide, but there are quite a few states that they do reciprocate for the Florida license, because it's California and Florida are like the hardest ones to get.
Okay.
So there are many, many states that do accept the Florida license. However, the state of Florida doesn't accept any license.
Well, if they're the hardest, I would understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it sucked, man, because like I love it, and I busted my ass to get where I got, but it is what it is, right? I mean, I need to stay alive, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I went to the roofing thing, and I was a service and repairs manager, and that job just burned me out, man. Like, again, I'm dealing with people, with customers.
Yes.
It's
humans, they're the worst.
Just burned me out, man. Between that and issues with management, and not quite seeing eye to eye, right? So like, I just I just had it, man, and so I started looking for jobs, and TRS. I want to say that it was like Indeed.
I think that's where we post on.
Like that, it just kind of sent me a thing like you're like matched up, right? And so I'm like, I start reading it and I'm like, man, this is similar to wastewater. Like it has a lot of similarities. So like I applied.
Mm-hmm.
The next day I got a call from Melanie.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh shit. Oh, okay. I'm like, all right.
You're crazy enough to want to work here? Great.
So you know, did the first interview. I think I did like 3 interviews.
Yeah, that sounds about right for us.
And yeah, I mean, it seemed pretty cool, and the numbers were decent, and like, you know, I was like, yeah, man. I mean, you know, obviously the travel part, I had to, you know, talk it out with my wife and make sure she was cool with it, because it's a lot on her, you know.
Oh yeah,
with the kids. But yeah, like, just kind of worked out, man. You know, and honestly, man, I'm happy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like my wife tells me all the time, she's like,
you seem a lot happier. Yeah, well, that's good.
Yeah,
you are. Well, no, I guess Sean smiles a lot too, but yeah, you're one of the brighter, smiling faces that I've seen in the company. Like, dude fucking loves life.
Man, you know, like, it's not all about money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if because I was offered more money to stay in the roofing thing,
right?
But it just wasn't about that, man. I just didn't like what I was doing, dude. Like, I mean, you know, so like waking up every day and just dreading going to work, you know, that's not the feeling you want, man. You know?
No.
That's not the feeling you want. You know, like you got to want to do it.
If you struggle to roll out of bed and go take a piss to go to work and whatever the first things you have to do, and like it's hard and you don't want to, start developing an exit strategy.
Absolutely.
Don't just like pull the trigger and go, fuck you, I'm out. Like, just go.
Yes.
I got to get out of here. This isn't right. I got to do something that makes me happy.
Listen, man, like what you just said there.
Mm-hmm. That's advice for everyone.
A lot of people need to listen to that.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people, man.
But at the same time, like, I've had miserable sites with this company.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, absolutely miserable, where it's that every day. I have nothing to look forward to at the end of the day, except maybe like going to the gym or going to a climbing gym or whatever it is after work.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, okay, this site's going to end. I'll go somewhere else.
Exactly.
But it's getting there, and it's sometimes it's a grind, because like you're like, there's at least a year of this.
So, but that's the thing though, man, is that you know that it's gonna end.
Yeah, knowing it's gonna end helps, but when it actually ends, really helps.
You know, like, that's a big thing too, man. It is the fact that, like, you know, we come in, we set up, we
transversely,
operate.
It also sucks when you leave a great place.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, oh, man,
sure,
but like, find someone new.
like, you know, leaving like Pohatcong.
That was bittersweet. It was good and bad, because like the beginning of it was rough with the adjustment of that client and all sorts of the oversight things. But by the end, we had a pretty good groove, and even during ops, it was pretty good. But I was only there intermittently during ops. I was mostly there for the construction, which was a year and a half.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was there for some of the demob, not all. They pulled me in and out a few times. Like the week that you were there.
You know, like I started.
That's a horrible place to start, but it's also a great place to start, because everything after there is just catastrophically awesome.
Like, I was like, if this is gonna be like I was really questioning at that point.
That's why I made sure I told every one of you guys that were there that week. I'm like, this is not a normal company site. It's not normally like this. We're a lot freer and looser. We're a lot better.
I look at these other sites and I'm like,
yeah,
this is an easy demo. I'm like, oh, there's nothing. Like, but you know, Pohakong was a beast, man.
Oh yeah,
that was a monster.
it was giant. It was oversight up the ass, making things 10 times more complicated than it had to be. But I also understood where they were coming from and why they wanted things that way.
And to start off, like that, I wanted to punch that guy for telling me about my glasses.
Yeah,
the safety guy.
Yep.
Like I wanted to punch him. Like I'm like, if you don't get off my ass about safety glasses, like what am I doing that requires safety glasses right now? And not only that,
there's companies that don't care. They just need to be able to check that box.
And not only that, but the fact that like my
with
glasses
with them, the thing with those types of companies. So I won't say their name, but they were a large company, and we've also worked for large oil companies. They were a drilling company.
Say they're an extremely large company.
They are an extremely large company. But those types of companies, their legal departments are so good that if you get injured for something totally not related to your eyes and they find out you weren't wearing safety glasses, but it's in their thing, they're not going to pay for your workers' comp. It's things like that. So with him, it was probably more of the like, I need to be able to check that box for you. And it's kind of looking out for you, but him not even being able to articulate it.
My problem with that was that like, I told him, I said, listen.
Not what they were saying, how they were saying it.
I said, how they were saying it, and the fact that I'm like, I just got here. Mm-hmm. I just started. I can't just order my glasses and get them in a day.
Yep.
I have a crazy prescription. Mm-hmm. Like, it takes weeks for me to get them. Not only that, but the glasses that I was wearing at the time, they are extremely impact rated, right? Like they're good enough to withstand impact, like from working or whatever, because I ride a motorcycle, right? Mm-hmm. So all of my glasses, I make sure that they're impact rated and all that because that's how I ride. But he wasn't listening to any of that.
So he just wanted to see side shields on the side then?
Exactly.
Ah, okay.
So that's what pissed me off.
Okay, that's understandable.
I'm like, all of this because I don't have side shields. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, man. So, you know, that was my intro to our company.
Welcome to the suck.
But, you know, then, you know.
And then you got me going, all right, so we're going to climb inside this piece of equipment and just take everything apart so that nothing freezes and shipment and bad things don't happen. And you're like, I can't move like you. I'm like, yeah, go around the other side of the box. Yeah, crawl through those pipes. It's easier.
Oh, man. Hey, I'll tell you, man, get in those condensers, man. Right now, like, especially it's hot, you know, when it's operating.
Yeah.
Oh.
I tell you what, though, in the middle of winter, that's where you want to be. You're like, please have a problem in the condenser today.
You're right. So, like, when we had that, like, freeze in Alabama.
Yes.
So, I went there not ready for that at all. Like, I did not have the appropriate clothing for that. And let me tell you, man, those condensers were my best friends.
Oh, yeah.
Because another
you throw your gloves on that primary knockout pot, warm them up for a few minutes, and put them back on. You're like, yeah.
Absolutely. Because another thing is that our trailer over there, our little box.
The Connex? The tool one?
No.
Or you had an office trailer?
The office.
Okay.
The heater doesn't work.
Oh, fun.
And it hasn't worked. Ever.
Great.
The AC barely works.
Awesome.
So yeah, man. But, you know, I'll tell you this, man, like going to that site like really changed everything, you know, like when I went there, started seeing what we were doing, I was like, okay, no, this makes more sense to me. You know? Yeah.
When you operate sites, building them makes way more sense.
Yeah. And that's something that I've said before is that, like, the more that I see on the process, the more that I understand, because that's how my mind works. I'm a mechanic, you know? So I need to see the nuts and bolts. Like, I can't, You can sit here and tell me all day, but until I see it, like going in the ground and like how it goes in the ground and all of that, until I see that, it's not really gonna make sense to me.
You should talk to find someone who might have it or could find it for you, but if you can see like the ground heat ups, like the thermal models of like what's actually happening, like when they take the temperature probes and like across the state create a 3D heat model.
Yeah.
Marketing probably has them, but like once you see that and you're like, oh, that's so cool, and like it'll make sense because like it's time lapse.
Yeah.
You'll be able to see like at the different depths, and you're like, whoa, like it started making way more sense then. And you're just like, okay, and like you can like visualize it inside your head. Like I get it too, because like same way mechanic, where it's just like, what do you mean I can't touch the problem that's 30 feet below ground? I can take out an actuator for an aircraft. Why can't I fix that? We just need more power. Give it more power then. That's not a problem. The wire's too small. Well, fuck.
Yeah, man. So like,
we have limits? I don't understand these words you're saying to me right now.
So, and then coming over here, was great because, Sean's different and like, between you and him and like, being able to work together, like it makes a big difference, and that's what it's all about, right? Like, man, you're doing something, it's work, right? So like, work is work, but like to be able to do it with like people that you actually get along with and that you can learn with and like, just work well with each other and all of that. Like
solid dudes that will explain the work, explain why for the work, and not just because I said so or because someone designed it this way.
Yeah.
Are going to pay way more dividends than just doing it and then figuring it out on your own a year later.
Absolutely.
Which is, I kind of got trained that way, but I also kind of didn't because I wasn't paying attention. Some of it I could absorb and some of it I couldn't.
Right.
Because I got out of the Marines in 2008 and I started here in 2010. And like, I knew nothing other than like, they pretty much hired me because like, you can go righty tighty lefty loosey on anything, can't you? I'm like, yep. You know it. Like, you seem like you got a brain inside you, so you'll figure this out. And like, I knew nothing about the environmental field, water, contamination, anything. I'm like, what do you mean? Like parts per million, parts per billion, like stuff like that. I'm like, I know how to paint an aircraft and take off parts. I'm like, all right. Like I learned it all as I go. I'm like, can you explain this? Like I ask that a lot. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm looking at.
Yeah. And
but then they're like, go take that apart. I'm like, I can do it.
And I can tell that like, as a company, we're kind of used to getting people that don't have the experience, right? Like where, like, different people that I've worked with, like, it's like kind of like, I'm trying to like, listen, like, just explain it to me. Like, I don't Barney level it. Like, don't bring it down to Barney level. Like, tell me what's actually going on. I will understand it. Like, I
think the problem is a lot of people don't know how to explain it past that Barney level.
It's
because
art.
Well, 90% of the people we talk to, maybe even more than that, have no idea. Like, and so you're like trying to explain, like, it's like, you're doing what? Like, we're putting toaster elements in the ground. I don't know. I'm cooking dirt.
When people ask me what I do, right? I say environmental.
Yeah.
Right. Because like if I tell somebody, thermal remediation, like they're not gonna know what the hell.
What's that?
About. So like I just say, it's environmental, and then if we go any further and like they ask, I'm like, we make soil get really hot.
Yep.
And that takes care of contaminants. I don't try to go into how, but then if we do go in any further, and it's like, well, when you get it really hot, then it basically becomes steam, and then we capture that steam and we treat the steam.
Yes.
Oh, okay, I kind of get it. I try to leave it at that, because then once you get beyond that, it's like, you're going to lose them.
Oh, definitely.
Like when you start talking about, primary pots and secondary pots.
Yeah, I just go, we heat this, basically imagine the earth as a pot of water, and we are taking a section of the pot of water and we're boiling it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a nutshell.
We're boiling a section off, and just everything that's contaminated that we're trying to capture has a lower boiling point than water, so what we're doing works great.
What's funny to me is how, like, if you tell somebody that we use activated carbon.
Yes, that one hangs them up.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they use activated carbon usually, like,
odor eaters.
Yeah.
Yeah, the little shoe balls.
Or in, like, many other things around your house. You got activated carbon.
You got a carbon water filter?
Knows. Yeah, but nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Oh, once you start explaining that, they're like, really? And then they start seeing it everywhere, and they'll come back to you. They'll be like, I saw it over in this. I'm like, yeah, they have that in it too.
It's everywhere.
It's amazing. It's great stuff. You really want to blow their mind? Learn the chemistry of how activated carbon works.
Oh, my God, man.
I've explained it to a few people, and they're like, that's so crazy. I'm like, no, that's just science.
I try to explain a wet scrubber odor control system to somebody one time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they had
I've explained my job to a few people who grasp it, and then afterwards they get done. They're like, oh, yeah, I teach like this form of science, or this, or that. And it's just like, that's why you asked intelligent questions. Good on you. You played me.
Yeah, wastewater is the same thing.
Yep.
Except like wastewater is a lot more, because you've got chemistry, you got microbiology, you've got, physics. I mean, there's a ton of science.
You guys got air strippers in those?
Air strippers.
So like the water comes in on the top, and then there's plates that go back
and
forth with holes.
Yeah, you're talking about like for odor control?
Well, just in the entire plant for anything.
For odor control.
I don't know if it would be odor control or what.
Yeah, for odor control, that's basically how that works with the trays. Liquid oxygen.
Yeah, that's fun stuff.
Also works with trays.
Nice.
And the change of temperature and the steam that comes up and all of that. Some of it is liquid oxygen, and the other one is gaseous. Oxygen.
Okay.
So like it's yeah, man, there's a lot.
Well, I believe it.
I mean, there's plants that make their own liquid oxygen, right? And then they also use it to create ozone.
Oh.
For their final treatment. So instead of using chlorine or bleach or anything like that,
yeah,
they use ozone.
That's pretty cool.
And ozone you don't have to remove from the water, right? So like if you use ozone and you discharge to a body of water, you can just discharge
because the ozone just evaporates out, or I don't know if evaporate's the right word.
The greatest disinfectant.
Oh, that's amazing.
Like way better than chlorine.
And this is wastewater side only?
Yeah.
So could you use ozone in like the stuff that comes through our pipes? Or don't you know?
It's expensive.
I could see that.
It's expensive because you got to basically make O2 into O3. So you got to electrically charge it.
A lot of power.
Yeah. Tons of power.
Which brings me back to my grandpa's point. I should have went nuclear Navy. It's a lot of power. Nuclear stuff is great.
Yeah. But yeah, man. So yeah, dude. So now we're here, man.
Yeah. And we've been doing this for about 3 hours and 15 minutes.
That sounds about right.
According to the timer on that board.
We got to eat pizza.
We do have to eat pizza. Drink whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's call this for today, and I don't know, we'll pick this back up at another date and time whenever we feel like it.
Sounds good,
Because I
man.
bring this stuff with me, and having no video equipment and just a board and some microphones is great.
And we have nothing else to do, man. Let's be honest. Like we have.
I really like going to the gym.
That's about it.
It's true. It's true.
All right, man. I appreciate it, brother.
Well, yeah, anytime, and we're going to eat some pizza and then go to work tomorrow and continue doing this week and many, many more. So, peace out.